Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
I'll take a glass of tall grape Kool-Aid. Victory Monday feels so good.
Can we get me a garbage can just in case I draw today?
It was 1 year ago today.
It was.
You feel okay today?
Well, I mean, despite how the Bengals played, I do feel great. Yeah.
You got a fresh cut. You're looking good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looking great.
Yes.
Wow. I don't even know where to start. This is a true story. I'll start here. I literally woke up this morning and I had to ask myself, and I did this after the Cavs won the championship in 16. Did that happen?
That really went down like that.
That's the way Browns fans think. It wasn't a dream, it was reality, but it was unbelievable.
I felt the celebration on Thursday night when the Lions won felt like the Lions had won the Super Bowl from a lot of Lions fans.
Sure.
And it felt the same way last night.
Well said.
It was a great opening day win. The first time the Browns have won in week one at home since 2004 with Jeff Garcia. They had been 0-10-1 in those situations.
It's the biggest week one home win since 1989, or biggest week one win since 1989.
Yeah.
A lot of firsts. A whole lot of firsts.
Yeah.
It's also the first back-to-back home or season openers wins since 19 years, because that was the second year that they had done that, winning in their season
Best
opener.
performance I've seen one of the sides of the football play. I couldn't believe it, man. I mean, you know, you watch your team and you be like, is that really not? I drink a lot of Kool-Aid, but I didn't drink that much Kool-Aid on Sunday. But good gracious, they came out and it was like they was playing at a different speed. I don't know what happened.
I think
take it.
I think the word for the defense yesterday was ferocious.
Yeah, they were angry.
They were
everywhere.
Yeah.
And guys, we talked about this. We all, during the offseason, we all believed that the biggest offseason acquisition was Jim Schwartz. That was supplanted yesterday. That was
Jim Schwartz and the additions on the D-line, because they all made a difference yesterday.
I mean, but if you have to just point to one,
yes,
because there
he led the way.
It's the sum of all those little parts added up. But they just looked different. Their confidence level was different. Greg Newsome looked like Greg Newsome again. Denzel Ward had some, if not for that, and you and I disagree on the pass interference call, and you think it was pass interference.
Definitely.
It's not a big deal because it led to the only points of the game, really.
When you go like this, they're going to call it every time.
But what I went back and looked at it, and the amount of jersey that was pulled and how it happened, it wasn't even enough to slow his progress.
It doesn't matter. When they
I know it doesn't matter, but
they're going to call it.
It was just, I've seen 10 times worse not called.
Yeah.
That's, the pass interference thing is always, some are called, some are not.
Ward still played great.
Ward played great.
Yeah.
I tweeted this yesterday, and I firmly believe this, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on this because this is a good place to start in my view. I know we're going to dive into the whole defense. For me, the back end of the Browns defense has not looked that good since the original Dog days.
Yeah.
Since the late 80s, and I know a lot of you are probably too young to remember Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield and that group, but there's no weak link. I don't know who quarterbacks are going to pick on.
And one of their starting safeties was out because Juan Thornhill didn't play. Grant Delpit, we talked about, the other day on Friday, we talked about
guys we aren't talking about.
We aren't talking about. I mentioned Grant Delpit. I thought he played great the second half. He was phenomenal yesterday. He was all over the place.
He led the team in tackles, did he not?
Yeah, he blitzed. He got in on it. Wasn't a sack on the blitz, but he
got there.
He got there, got the quarterback in. It's funny because the Browns only had, I think, 2 sacks. But it felt like they had 20 because they were in the back.
Credit Burrow for getting rid of the ball, but that's why he wasn't completing it.
Well, they were bringing heat all day, and when you talk about the secondary was so good, part of the reason, and that's not take away from the secondary.
No, I know where you're going.
Part of the reason they were so good is the heat they were generating up front.
Right.
They only had to cover for 3 seconds.
First play of the game, 3-step drop, and Burrow gets hit.
Yeah.
I know.
And I thought, wow.
Yeah, that was a big sign of things
that
to
was
come.
And let me give you this stat, guys.
Setter.
Let me give you this stat because this really puts into perspective how dominant the Browns have been against the Bengals since the start of the 2021 season.
Which is the Kevin Stefanski era, correct?
No,
20.
No, I'm saying since 21.
Oh, you're going back to 21.
So Joe Burrow has played 40 games since 2021, including the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's played 40 games. In those 40 games, the Bengals are 27-13. So they've won 2/3 of those games.
Right.
In those 13 losses, 9 of those 13 losses, including the playoffs, have been by 3 points or less.
So they're right there.
So put it in perspective. The Bengals have, in 40 games with Joe Burrow since 2021, in 36 of 40, that's 90%, they've either won or lost by a field goal. And 3 of the 4 losses where they've lost by more than 3 points against the Browns.
And it was
3
21.
of the 4.
It was 19, and it was another double-digit loss.
Yes.
You know, it was funny yesterday. The Bengals pulled the plug with 6 minutes left and took Burrow out. And after the Jets game last year, Kevin's like, "No, Deshaun, go back out there.
Yeah.
You're still out there.
I had no
we
problem
ain't
with
sitting
that.
on it yet."
I know you mentioned it in our group chat. I have no.
I just thought it
wanted
was
Deshaun
funny.
to lead the
I didn't want
feeling
him
of
out
the
there.
deal.
I just thought it was
didn't want
funny.
him out there.
Burrow sat because they were down.
Yes, of
Sure,
course.
I get that.
Coming off an injury.
But
Of
you're
course.
also up 3 touchdowns. And here's my thing. I know, because I talked about this with my son. He's like, he handed the ball off. He did throw once on 3rd down.
Right.
Which I thought was a little, I don't know. You can do what you want. You want to move the sticks and whatever.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want him out there. We all agree. Everybody, if there's very few things that we've agreed on in the offseason. One of them was that Jim Schwartz was going to be the difference maker. The other one is, if Deshaun Watson goes down, season over.
Yeah.
I don't need him out there on the field in a 3-touchdown lead with 3 minutes to go.
I think Stefanski felt it was important to have his leader on the field to close out the game.
Deshaun Watson, we
Yeah.
need that look. You know, back in the day when the generals used to get going, the first thing Alexander the Great said, the general got to be leading from the front. I got to have the same skin in the game as the soldiers. Deshaun Watson was not coming out of that game because he was pumped. He was hyped. His team was playing on a different level and a different high. And you could just see the thirstiness that the defense played with. And they can say what they want. Jamar Chase can act like the elf comment didn't work. You gave us some red meat. You should not give hungry dogs red meat. And they came out there, and Jim Schwartz was like, no, we're going to come after you every single play. And sometimes it wasn't even blitzes. It just looked like they were there. I mean, when you talk about from yards after catch, they were hitting guys, tackling them down. How many times did they throw short of the sticks? They thought they were getting some yards after catch, maybe running and extended drive. No, they shut down the running game. They were up front. Myles Garrett and Za'Darius Smith, even Ogbo, was in there causing havoc. And to me, I just say it, this is the best defensive performance I've ever seen. I'm 41 years old.
Yeah.
When it comes to all-around defensive line, and talk about the linebackers.
Wait, is that prisoner of the moment talk? I mean, from this Browns, from the Browns.
That is the most. I mean, we could talk about the rain, but execution-wise, it looked like MJ Emerson was running the routes for these guys. It looked like at times it was like, is he trying to get a back shoulder fade? The corners were all over people. Denzel Ward looked like a superstar. Newsome, if you play like that, you don't got to get no picks. If you don't want no picks, cool.
Yeah. And listen, the bottom line for me to the defense, and was it the greatest performance since '99? I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head every
one
single
sticks out
performance.
to me. In 2008,
Yeah.
they played the defending Super Bowl champion Giants on a Thursday night game.
Right.
And I think they won, it was 35-7 or something
Yeah.
like that. They just dominated a very, very good Giants.
Right.
And offensively, they scored on every possession. They didn't punt at all.
I think it was it doesn't even matter if it's number one all time. It's
Right.
one of the best performances we've seen by this defense. It's the only one that comes to mind for me in the 12 years I've been covering the team more than any other.
Sure.
I mean, it was because as G said, and you're 100% right, the Bengals didn't make, I think they had one big play. Joe Mixon had one really long run.
Decent run.
That was it.
Yeah.
Like the wide receivers were never open.
No.
But
and this is widely regarded as one of, if not the best wide receiver corps
It is.
in the
It is
NFL.
the best. Yeah. It is the best. There's no discussion.
82
it's the
passing
best,
yards.
and they did nothing.
Here's the question. Let's put a percentage on it, okay?
Yeah.
Because I was really thinking about this last night. You always want to give credit and blame. What percentage of that performance is due to the Browns' dominant defense, and what percentage is due to the Bengals with a rusty quarterback on a wet field? So if you got to split it 90-10, like where was it?
I'm giving the Browns defense 75% credit.
75-20.
I don't make excuse. Listen, all these things factored in. The weather factored in for Deshaun Watson too.
It did.
Obviously, he looked very rusty and didn't look 100% comfortable, which I've never seen from him
I think
before.
that was due to the Browns' pressure.
But the Browns get the majority of the credit because it was an overwhelming effort across the board. And we've been looking for that big moment. And the Bengals probably weren't going to make a comeback in this game anyway. They showed no signs of life. But that sack by Myles Garrett early in the fourth quarter, that was the death knell.
You thought
and
Taylor
we've been waiting for that.
punted when he should have gone for it.
Twice.
Yeah,
Now,
he should have went
I think he definitely should have punted on the sack play, and I tweeted that in our group.
Yeah, I don't think
that's
so.
just, why give them a 20-yard field?
At that point, I don't care. At that point, you got to go for it.
But at that point, it's 17-3.
They weren't moved. They had to try to get some spark. I don't know.
So you're okay with that?
The Bengals punting at the Browns 43.
That was a head scratcher.
Insane.
Especially with
that
Zach
was
Taylor.
insane. But the defense deserves so much credit because all three levels play. There's not a single player on the Browns defense that I can point to and say, well, he didn't have a good game yesterday.
James Rapine said something. He said, in Cincinnati, when you watch these three receivers, they don't do what we call scheme guys open. They throw a lot of contested 50-50 balls, and they get them. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins get those 50-50 balls, and he kind of talked about the Browns match up well against them because, especially when they play like this, with man-to-man coverage, and they got three guys that can cover guys.
That's right.
And when you throw 50-50 balls and you got guys that are highly contested, it can look like this if your quarterback is off.
And if you only watch the Browns and you don't watch the Bengals besides when they're playing the Browns, you don't realize how impressive it is what they did. I have never, ever, ever seen the Bengals offense with Joe Burrow look this bad. Even in the other two ass kickings that the Browns gave him, they didn't look this bad.
His 82 yards passing is a career low.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's just crazy. It was an incredible performance.
T. Higgins had as many catches as I did.
Yeah,
I know. 0. 8 targets, 0 catches.
Amazing.
And I've been telling you guys all along, I think Martin Emerson is the real thing. He's the real deal.
Oh, 100%.
Yesterday proved it because they didn't match Denzel with Jamar Chase. Emerson played the right side. Denzel played the left side.
Whoever was there.
Whoever's there,
and I like
that's
that.
who you get.
I like that.
And it wasn't like, and it's not a sign of disrespect, but in the past, Denzel was always on Jamar.
Right.
That's
I
not
think
the
it's more a
case
sign
anymore.
of confidence in Jim Schwartz.
Absolutely.
In anybody.
Absolutely.
His cover guys. Tyvus is in when? Wednesday this week?
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll talk to him tomorrow. One of the things I can't wait to talk to him about is I want him to put into perspective just how difficult it is to do what the Browns did yesterday. Again, the top receiving core in the NFL. They took them man in bad conditions. Now, bad conditions always favor the wide receiver. He knows where he's going.
No slips, no falls,
slip, nothing.
No miscommunications.
And guys, like you said, there were points that I said the same thing. It was almost as if, particularly Emerson, he wasn't just trying to defend the pass. He was acting like he was the intended receiver.
He had one pick, but he was out of bounds.
I know. Yeah.
But
What's
he was
amazing is
phenomenal.
The Browns turned it over twice. The Bengals didn't turn it over, and the Browns still dominated the game.
If you go through and look at this, and I know ESPN creates these stats, the percentage of times a team loses the turnover battle -2 and wins by 21 is almost uncalculable. It's in the very low single digits.
And nope, I'm not even going to save it.
Yeah.
And as good as the defense played, we haven't even got to the special teams yet.
No, they look good too. They look good. Mikey's got to read.
Yeah, I got a couple things I have to mention real quick. First and foremost, we mentioned Tyvus, and yet tomorrow, Tyvus is going to give us a Coach Tyvus segment on MJ Emerson and his unbelievable performance against these Bengals receivers. So that is coming up tomorrow. We set a record yesterday. And if you didn't tune into the post-game show, I got to ask why not, because we set a record. It's the most viewed show we have ever done on UCSS.
What is that now?
Clips that have done more. It's at 34,000 as of this morning.
To put that into perspective, Mike, that's half of the Browns Stadium.
Watch the post-game show.
Half of the Browns Stadium. Watch the post-game show.
And we've got a record number of people, I believe, watching us live right now. Get your friends. We gotta double the all-time record. Let's go. This is the best coverage in town.
We had 1,000 people waiting for us to launch this stream this morning. That is a testament to you guys out there, the Browns fans, for making this phenomenal. We're going to get into everything else in the show coming up, including kicking, Deshaun Watson, the weather, some defensive dominance.
Stefanski's dominance over the Bengals.
The offensive line injuries. We're going to get to all of that, and we have an announcement coming up at noon. We've teased this for a week and a half now. We can officially tell you what it is. That announcement is coming at noon, so do not turn the YouTube channel.
You're kind of soft-selling that. This is a big deal at noon, okay?
Listen, it's a big deal, but so is the Browns' dominance over the Bengals yesterday. I don't want to spend too much time teasing it because we have so much to get to. We gave some overall thoughts. Let's dig a little deeper into the defense. And I want to call it one play.
We just did, didn't we?
I want to call it one more play.
Okay.
We talked about Myles Garrett's dominance. when Myles Garrett started dribbling between his legs, and you can take this, Steve, you take tag board. In my opinion, and I said this in the postgame show, I'll say it again. This is the single coolest thing a defensive lineman has ever done. Not only was it cool in the setup, but it worked. It led to an Ogbo sack. Give me the alternate angle, the second one. Watch it from the back. That is swaggy to the extreme. And it worked, and it led to a sack. G. Bush, you played defensive line on Division I level. Could you ever imagine doing this? What would your coach said if you tried to pull this out in a live game against one of the best quarterbacks?
Come sit by me, Tom McDaniel.
Yeah, exactly.
Come sit by me.
Unless you're Myles Garrett and you pull it off.
And take that visor off, and why is your socks way too low? When Myles Garrett is dribbling like he's hot sauce and he's crossing people up, I was like, listen, this is what I told you about all summer. He's isolated. They said, how much more can you unlock Myles Garrett? Well, you see it. They let him dribble between his legs by a 3 technique. He goes up and under, and he has nothing to do. He can't guard it. Myles Garrett disrupts the whole play, and guess what? Look at his friends getting involved. See, Jadeveon Clowney, if you would have just shut up and did what you were supposed to do, you could have been out here getting this sack. But you talk about they setting you up. No, these other guys, guess what they're doing? They're playing off of that. That pressure is coming. And shout out to Joe Burrow, because he moved like he just knew what it was. And that play 2 years ago, he'd have been up the field and for 5 or 10 yards, and they would have reset these sticks. But when you let a guy like that come and stand up, how do you game plan for that?
You don't. There's one simple way to say it. You don't. Myles, to me, it was the equivalent of a boxer. We've seen guys do this before. Sugar Ray, I think, had done it in the past. Muhammad Ali. It's the old, look at this. Yep. And then you jab with your other hand. Now, most times the jab doesn't land, but it's pretty, and he's taunting the opponent, and he gets points for that. In this case, Myles did the wind-up with his right, jabbed with his left, and it connected. And opposing offenses are going to see this. Now the cat's out of the bag. Now they know what he's going to do.
Okay.
I think it's brilliant lining him up, no hand in the dirt, in the middle. Yep. How do you stop that?
He also dropped back into coverage.
He did
3 or 4 times, and Joe Burrow throws it, and he caught it mid play, and was like, "Let me just sail this a little bit.
Now
I'll throw this out of bounds."
Now this is the difference, because Myles dropped back a couple times last year, and he was complaining about it. Yes. Remember that? He's like, "I don't know what the hell I was doing back there," but he's in a system now that you clearly, so far, he loves. And I told you guys this summer, the reason Jim Schwartz was here was because it was the best system for Myles Garrett. They felt like Jim's system would exacerbate Myles' talents better than Brian Flores's, and that's why Jim Schwartz got the job.
Check that stat out and read that and let that sink in. And just, I mean, guys, we have said that for some, he is among the best at what he does. But all of us agreed there's another level. He shouldn't be among the best. He should be the bar setter.
Yes, yeah.
And I feel like in this defense, with the talent he now has around him, he will be the bar setter. There was an interesting conversation last night or yesterday during the game where the question was asked, what does the addition of Jim Schwartz do to this defense? And the color guy said, I think it takes him from 16 sacks to 20 sacks.
Right.
Yeah, he said, yeah.
That was
and I think he's dead on.
That's what he said in the. Yeah.
He's going to get
the color guy. I can't even think of it.
I can't either.
Who the hell was it? I don't know. I was watching the game. I can't even remember.
Charles Davis.
Charles Davis, who did a good job. But and Ian Eagle, of course, on the call, which was always a great call. Myles was magnificent yesterday, and the other guys made plays. Like when he caused havoc in the backfield, Ogbo and Za'Darius Smith, they finished. Right? They made the plays. They stopped the running game for the most part. Mixing it okay.
And he didn't have that help last year.
He had no help last year. So when Myles Garrett last year would bust through the line and get the quarterback out of sorts and get him running around,
there's nobody else to clean it up.
It was nobody to clean it up. Now they had guys to do that in this game. It was amazing. It really was impressive.
Za'Darius Smith started when Za'Darius, like you mentioned, he starts off first play of the game.
Yeah,
and it's Za'Darius Smith hitting you upside the head. You're like, well, hold on now.
Yeah,
at least let me get set up.
Three-step drop.
Three-step bow.
It was so fast you couldn't even believe that they were on him in that time.
Yeah. Another thing that is a little thing that I actually liked that Myles Garrett did was there was a play where they stopped the play and Joe Burrow threw the ball down and Myles Garrett still knocked him down. Now, some people would think that's cheap. I don't care. As long as it's not a dirty hit, as long as it's not to the knees or the head, which it wasn't, I like that. It's, to me, and I don't know if he was planning to do that or not, but to me that sends a message. I'm still going to hit you.
That was the delay of game call, right?
I think it was. I don't remember the call, but they stopped.
I think that was the delay of game.
He was like,
he flipped the ball. He still got taken to the ground. Yeah,
I'm still hitting you. And it wasn't a nasty hit or anything like that. But it was. I looked at it as a message being sent, and I thought it was important. I thought the Bengals defensively, the Bengals played very well. They ran out of gas at the end.
Pratt would play. But that guy was everywhere.
When the offense is not moving the ball, what are you going to do? But I thought they completely wore them out by the end of the game.
Is this sustainable long term? And the reason I ask that, I know it's week one. Yeah. Sometimes you get those weird kind of oddball performances out of week one. And by the way, the defenses, as we talked about on Friday, way ahead of the offense, not just in this game, but league-wide.
Not in the Dolphins-Chargers game.
That might have been the only over
what a game.
in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, it felt like
Dallas might have gone over by themselves.
No, I think it was more than 41.
Okay.
Wow, that was a shocker too.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about that.
Are we buying that long term? And I say that because this Bengals defense or offense, even though it's rusty here, they're one of the yardsticks. Yeah. Can they continue to play like this during the course of the NFL season, barring injuries?
Effort is free. You may not have the results, right? You may not have the results. Maybe somebody gets out of a sack. Maybe you don't get any interceptions. Hey, right there, they didn't even get any turnovers. So one of the things Jim Schwartz is going to be preaching this week is, guys, we got to get turnovers. Guys, we need to get the ball out. We need to get a strip sack. We need to get – and Jim Schwartz, the way he coaches, Earl said this on the postgame show, and I thought it was spot on. He said, Jim Schwartz is not going to let that effort wane. That's just what it is.
Right.
Like, he's not the type of guy that's going to rest on his laurels, and he understands the defense can get better. If we can get 24 points with the offense not doing much, just by us playing the way we are playing, then that means that we could be something special. So that's why I think that it is sustainable, because effort is free. You just need to spend the energy to
You guys buying this long term?
I mean, you're not going to hold teams to 3 points in under 100 passing
Nobody
yards.
plays that kind. Nobody plays that suffocating a defense week in and week out. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
The Browns, we all thought they had a good defense on paper. In 1 week, they show they have a damn good defense on paper. I think they'll probably be a good defense for most of this year. Obviously, it's 1 week. The Giants are not going to get shut out every week. The Chiefs are not going to lose every week. You can't overreact to one game. But all we got is one game of information, and this one game of information by this defense was very impressive. No, they're not going to average giving up 3 points a game. No. That's not sustainable.
No.
But the quality of the talent is there, and so the Browns playing very good defense is sustainable.
Can they generate consistent pressure on the quarterback every week? Yes.
That's the key, right?
Do they have 3 defensive backs? Do they have 3 cornerbacks who can play man coverage? Yes. Are they going to get beat? Yeah, of course they're going to get beat. But for the most part, over the course of a season, can they consistently play at a high level? Yes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think the sort of what G was saying, the effort level is there. If the effort level is there, the talent is there. The scheme certainly seems to be there. They're not going to have the same result every week. But absolutely, I think this front four, and with some of these blitz schemes, we were seeing some different types of, I won't call them exotic blitzes yesterday, but they were mixing it up.
Right.
And you weren't exactly sure where it was coming from.
There was nothing exotic to that, really.
No.
It was pretty much standard.
But last year was so vanilla. Last year was so bland that...
Well, to be fair, they got way more talent now, too.
Okay, but like the
back end of the defense is largely the same.
It is the same.
And we sat here last year and we were begging Joe Woods, what are you doing?
It wasn't just us, it was the players. The players were frustrated. The players were telling me, why can't we change things? Like, what we're doing isn't working, so change something.
All that
and
zone,
nothing ever changed.
All that zone coverage. And that, see, you give yourself an opportunity, right? If you are playing man-to-man and you are blitzing and bringing people, if they do catch the ball, you have a chance.
Sure.
You're next to them. If you're playing zone and they catch the ball, that guy has 5 yards between you and him. He could give you any move he wants to.
And they did last year a lot. Imagine if you're Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. You faced the Niners defense to start the season. And boy, did they at one point the yardage in the game was 199 yards for the Niners and 1 yard of total offense.
Right. I didn't realize that.
And now they've got to get ready to face a Browns defense that looks very similar to this Niners defense.
By the way, shout out to YouTube. I love the 4 pictures. Oh my God,
the sports bar
It is great YouTube TV
with
the Sunday Ticket.
Hey, someone told me yesterday that's $500. Is that true? The YouTube TV package?
No, it's not.
No.
I literally bought it this weekend.
Yeah, I got
had
it.
to buy
What
it.
did you pay?
It's $62 a month.
Yeah, they break it up in installments.
Okay, so do the math. They
Well,
said
no.
They said it was.
It's
before
not
Sunday
500.
ticket?
I don't remember.
It was an extra $300 for the year. $300 for the year.
And that's it, or was there a fee?
I think it might be 500, Jay, if you don't buy, like if you just bought the Sunday ticket without buying the rest of YouTube TV.
So,
yeah, I think that's probably.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yo, YouTube TV
By the way,
is like
YouTube
89.
TV is a great service.
Oh.
Just a standalone service. If you're looking
it's
for
great.
the best delivery of channels at the
great.
price, I got it for my mom a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and she wanted me to do some research on all the programs that were out there. And she's 83 years old, so from a tech savvy, she streams everything. She can do it all. And it's very, very affordable. And now you throw out
I love it.
Sunday
The only thing that
ticket.
stinks is it doesn't have MLB Network and it doesn't have Bally's.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have
They've
to
gotta
figure that
fix
out.
that.
And they got 4K, and I got.
Yeah, they got 4K,
I
yeah.
got. I don't know how many TVs. I got like 8. There's 8, and they all stream.
Nice.
So I had the internet running.
Yeah.
Everybody was on my
You got
house.
smoke coming out of your router.
My router,
God.
but shout out to I got the fiber optics.
But-
And they have it in 4K.
Yeah, it was great.
4K.
And by the way, Vegas will tell you that you should react to week 1, but not overreact, right? Because Vegas reacted on the Browns and the Steelers. The Browns looked great. The Steelers looked awful. So the Steelers probably before the season. I think this game was a pick'em.
It was a pick'em even last night after
Right.
both
It
results
was a
were in.
pick'em.
Now
And then-
it's 3.
Now the Browns. I thought it was
1.5.
I thought it was
Browns are
1.5.
okay. I thought I
1.5.
saw 2.5 somewhere.
No,
this
it's
morning.
Right,
morning,
but so they
I just
reacted,
checked
but they
1.5.
didn't overreact because based on last week, the Browns should be like a touchdown favorite based
Yeah,
on what
you would
happened
think.
yesterday.
Yeah.
But they're not going to react that
Well,
much.
also too, figure this: home game for the Steelers.
Right.
Monday night's game for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Divisional game.
And to some degree, every week's a new week in the NFL.
Yeah,
Some
you're
degree.
right. Especially early
Yeah.
in the season.
Yes,
Teams are trying to
100%.
figure out what's working and what's not working.
100%.
And we said the Browns' defense won't look this good this year. You can book that the Bengals' offense will not look that bad
That's
this
right.
year.
Mike's got to read real quick. The last time the Browns were favored going to Pittsburgh was Bud Carson's first year as head coach.
God, 1990.
I saw that stat from
89.
Zach Jackson, and that is
Wow.
correct. I
Oh
do
my
have a
God.
real quick fast read for you guys. We have had a bunch of super chats already this morning. Whenever we get super chats, that is brought to us by PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. To keep this all segmented, we're going to read all the super chats at the end of the show.
Okay.
We got a bunch. We're going to get a bunch more. So
Yeah.
at the end of the show, last 5-10 minutes, we will read all your super chats. We have gotten them all in. I'll just give a quick shout out to some of the people who sent them in already. But Skilly, Jarrell Jack, Preston, Josh, James, Josh and another one, Peter, Skrilly.
Wow.
All these guys, we got them.
What's our number
We'll
right
read
now?
them at the end.
I know we
have
were over
broken-
3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at 3,200 and growing. That's a record. We've never done 32 concurrent. So shout out to you guys. And Brown says we're at 6,000
There were
views
shows
already
in the
for
first
show.
year that we didn't even have 3,200 people over 2 hours, and now we have
Facts.
3,200 people watching.
Which
this
is
live
incredible,
right now.
and it's a testament. And,
Yeah.
what's really a testament to, it's obviously a team effort. We're all pulling the sled, but what we've done in a year and a couple of months here is we've given meaning and value to the letters UCSS, which didn't exist as anything before we
right.
started.
That's right.
It's now a brand. How strong is that brand? The fans have come to recognize that they're going to get quality Browns conversation regardless of who's sitting in these seats. Yesterday, with our behind the glass team and G. Bush, you guys did a number that is
Crazy for the post.
mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's in terms of YouTube shows, that puts it in the top 0.2% of all YouTube shows.
Yeah, if you compare that to some other post-game shows, there's one number that's a lot higher than the rest. We'll put it
That's
that
right.
way.
Yeah.
And speaking of
And
numbers
that's a
that are
testament
higher,
to all of us and all of you at home.
we do it for you guys. I was in the Muni lot yesterday. I saw you yesterday. Thank you all for saying what's up. I'll be back next time they have a home game. Make some more content.
Very good.
We got a bunch of other things to get to. Let's talk Kevin Stefanski real quick.
Really quickly before
Really
we do
quick,
that,
okay.
I just want to get this out, and I don't want anyone to think that we're not thinking of it. Today is 9/11. We're all celebrating it as a Browns Victory Monday, and we all love that feeling. But it's also a very solemn and somber day in American history. It was the day that led to more deaths of Americans on a home invasion attack than any other day in our country's history. There were many innocent lives lost that day. Bull, I know you're a New Yorker. I moved to that area very shortly after the attack. I met and worked with a lot of people that had loved ones, neighbors, and friends that were in the towers. And it wasn't just the towers, it was also the Pentagon. Mm-hmm. It was also the bringing down of another jetliner over Pennsylvania. It's almost mind-boggling to believe that it has been 22 years. I remember the instant that attack happened like it was yesterday.
Yep.
We were all like zombies.
It was a day that I've never experienced anything like that.
And then it
in
wasn't
my life.
just that day, because it was the next few days. I remember
It
just
was.
walking around, and everybody felt like a zombie. It was like we were all
Everything
couldn't
was
believe
off.
what was happening. Yeah.
Everything was off. And in that, it really, if you think about it, sports has always been the respite for American tragedy and despair, and it's supposed to lift our souls and spirits collectively. And it paused. And it's the only time in my lifetime that it paused for that length of time. And when it came back, and I still remember the first pitch from the mound at Yankee Stadium, and what that meant collectively to the nation, as if it was a resounding, we're still here, we're not going away. Yeah. And I know many young people either weren't alive or don't remember when that happened. Yeah. But we just wanted to take a minute to remind everybody that it's always top of mind for all of us that were alive when we experienced it. And it's just, we remember those that lost and gave the ultimate sacrifice on that day.
It was crazy. I was walking to English class freshman year. I was scheduled to start, it's like my second start ever. And we was walking to English class. They said, don't go to class. We went back to the dorms. We had this little TV we was watching, and we saw the planes, like the second plane go into the Twin Tower. And then it was kind of crazy. They were like, they got us all to the, they didn't even call us to the stadium, because they were like, the stadium is really tall, so they had everything. You couldn't go in buildings nowhere. So
keep you away from potential targets.
Yeah, so they just put us in this field, and we was talking, and they were like, yo, we was playing NC State, and we are going to fly to NC State and play Phillip Rivers, and guess what? They canceled the game, and then that's what I knew it was huge, because you don't cancel games in America.
Yeah, everything shut down. Air travel shut down for a long time. Even once air travel resumed, I remember I was in Tampa covering the Buccaneers, and our first trip after that was, I believe, to Minneapolis. And normally at the airport, it was with a lot of TV gear and a decent-sized crew. It would take us 45 minutes to get everything checked through. Once 9/11 happened, they took every box of equipment we had apart. They wanted to know if they could dismantle batteries. Camera batteries. And it took 3 hours for us to get through, and nobody complained about it.
Right. Real quick, I retweeted this morning. It's the most comprehensive story I've ever seen on 9/11. Politico did it years ago. I retweet it every year on 9/11. We're the only plane in the sky. It's an oral history of everyone who was involved. Wow. It's phenomenal. It's really, really, really long. It's spectacular. Please take the time today to read it.
Yeah, thanks for that.
It's on my Twitter
I appreciate it. I'll check that out too. All right, now back to football, and we talked about the Kevin Stefanski dominance over Cincinnati. Is he 6-1 in his career? What is the record?
5-1, I think.
5-1. No, 6-1.
No, there has to be
6-1 now.
So what's crazy to me, guys? He is 6-1 against a team. All but one of those years was considered a yardstick team in the AFC. So he's 6-1 against the Bengals, but against everyone else, he's 21-23, and it's the reverse of your Burrow stat about how since he's been there, the Bengals either won or lost by 3 90% of their games. They get blown out by Stefanski and the Browns. You know Stefanski as well as anyone here. You know what he does week in and week out. What the hell is he doing differently against this team that makes it not just hard for the Bengals to win, but the Browns are winning walk-away games?
I don't know. No, you know what?
I don't either.
I don't want to put too much credit on this, but I think it's worth acknowledging. Alex Van Pelt has intimate knowledge of the Bengals. He came from Cincinnati, so I think he has a pretty good understanding and feel of how they do things.
But did he work there with Zach Taylor?
I believe he was.
Okay.
Yeah, at least for a little while. So now does that? What year did Zach Taylor get to Cincinnati?
I think they got. Didn't they get there the same time?
Taylor was the year before, wasn't he?
Oh, was he? I thought they got there the same year. I could be wrong.
Kevin was 2020.
This is fifth year. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
fifth year. Yeah.
So I think he has a little bit of knowledge, and again, that doesn't explain all of this. I think it
because the real dominance has been defense.
Yeah, I think it pulls back the curtain a little bit on what they like to do. Well, it would explain,
Oh,
how
I see. Yeah,
Cincinnati
I see what
attacks
you're
the ball.
saying. Yeah.
But that's not the whole. Let's give credit let's not give Alex Van Pelt all the credit for that.
Sure.
But I do think it's just a little morsel to add into
No,
this.
absolutely. I think it factors in. I hadn't even considered that.
Yeah, but I mean, otherwise, it's it could just be one of these strange anomalies that there really is no great explanation for it, because in the grand scheme of things, it is still a small sample size. It's getting bigger, and it keeps happening. But when you talk about a number of games in some of these other seasons as compared to 8 games that we're talking about here, there is no great explanation for it, other than I think it goes back to what, Bull, you were saying. At least with this version, the Browns now have 3 great cover corners to match up with their 3 great receivers.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the thing, I didn't actually take this domination very seriously until after this game. Because to me, it was, in the games that mattered, it was Browns 2, Bengals 1, and the Bengals won the last one.
Well, let's point this out, too.
Yeah.
6-1. 4 different quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was just going to say, by the way, Baker played out of his mind against Cincinnati.
Baker beat them.
That's why it's just...
beat them.
Right.
Last year, it was Case Keenum beat them, and now finally...
But from my perspective, the first 2 I didn't care about because the Bengals were awful, the Browns were good that year.
Sure.
And then the second one in 21, the Bengals played their backups. It was all bench players.
Right.
So I didn't care about that. So it was 1 game in 21, and then they split last year. So I'm like, to me, in the games that really,
but
it was 2-1.
Last year, the Halloween game was very reminiscent of this one.
Right.
Yes.
But it was still 2-1. But I thought 2-1 for me wasn't enough. Now it's 3-1, and now it's 3 blowouts. And I'm like, this is crazy. There is definitely something to it.
What are you seeing from your end as a Bengals fan? What are they doing that other teams are not? Because you watch every Bengals snap.
The Bengals play with a swagger and confidence. They still talked it. Well, Jamar Chase doesn't. He sounds like an idiot. He needs to shut up. And he's a great player, but he needs to shut up. It's enough. I know he was trying to be, in a way, self-deprecating the way he said it yesterday.
Trying to take the L.
He was trying to take the L, but just let it go.
Yeah.
He was trying to give them credit, but
well, he doubled down on the L's comment.
Yeah, but he was making fun of himself in a way.
Yeah.
But it didn't come out right, and he sounded like an idiot, so just shut the hell up.
Yeah.
The Bengals play with a swagger and confidence against everybody else that they don't, for some reason, they don't have. Even when the Bengals beat the Browns last year in that second game, I don't remember, it was December, but I don't remember the exact date. I didn't think the Bengals played that well in that game, even the one they won. I can't explain it. And if you had been in a coma and had only been awake for the Bengals playing the Browns for the last 3 years, just the last 3 years, and I said, well, the Bengals have been to the Super Bowl in the AFC Championship. You'd be like, that's crazy. This team's awful.
Sure.
Because they look like a horrendous team against the Browns. There's just something, styles make fights, right? We talk about this all the time.
That's true.
And just like the Bengals have had the Chiefs number, right? Now, they haven't blown them out, but they had won all the games until last year in the AFC Championship game. And Patrick Mahomes had not looked great against the Bengals until that second game last year. And for whatever reason, Joe Burrow just looks lost in the soup every time he plays the Browns.
Now, Myles Garrett loves playing against Joe Burrow. I think doesn't he have
10 sacks?
10 sacks in now 7 games? Or the last
3, 2, 4, 5, 6 games.
Well, you just look at
10 sacks in 6 games.
Just take a look at the roster, and you can see that James Rapine said, I just think it's a bad matchup for the Bengals. I wasn't going to say it to this game, but after watching this game, it's a bad matchup. They have 3 really good corners, and Jason kind of said that. The Browns have 2 really good defensive ends, but you can look at it, they probably have the best defensive end in the game. So you automatically can gauge and say, well, look, before we could bring, 4 and still get pressure because we got Myles Garrett.
Sure.
And you're able to keep guys in the back end. When you play the Kansas City Chiefs, Chris Jones is really good up front. But there's a lot of times where the Chiefs have to bring more pressure to get to, Mahomes, and that leaves, to Joe Burrow, and that leaves them one-on-one. I hope people understand this. The Bengals make contested catches better than any team in the league. Like, if you get one-on-one coverage with either T. Higgins or Jamar Chase,
they both win those balls.
That's 40, 50 yards. And think about it. Even if it ain't 40 or 50 yards, what are the chances of you not falling, not getting dunked on because they went up and made a crazy catch, or not having pass interference?
Sure.
They get lots of yards that way. But the Browns can keep people back in the back end. And on top of it, they have a running game where it's difficult.
In the end, it's just weird because the Bengals have played teams with better defenses in the past couple of years, and yet the Browns have played it well. I can't. It's really hard to explain in the end. I don't know, but Stefanski's got to find a way to translate this to
other teams.
Certainly.
Let's transition it a little bit to the offense. Do you want to go there now?
Okay, so we have breaking news real quick.
Okay.
I do have to mention this, but Schefter just reported and Mary Kay confirmed Jack Conklin out for the season, torn MCL and ACL. Not a surprise after what we saw. That means Dawand Jones, as G. Bush predicted before the season, will be thrust into action a lot sooner
let's
than
do this.
we
Let's
expected.
call
He
an
did a good
audible.
job.
We'll call an audible. Instead of talking about Chubb right here, let's instead talk about the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, I thought they appropriately pointed out during the game that we have to talk about Dawand Jones because we haven't talked about Dawand Jones.
I know you, Jason, you thought maybe he's not ready. We haven't seen any PFF grades. I'm not watching Dawand Jones on every single play, but it seemed like he did a great job yesterday.
I isolated him on a number of plays and went back and watched a number of plays. I'm sure you guys did too. I mean, he held his own, and that's all you can ask for this guy to do. It was his first live bullet NFL action, and I thought he held his own. You're over there with a smirk on your face. What are they saying behind closed doors?
We'll see.
They don't
see. No, listen, let me tell you.
They think Jedrick Wills is good. Come on now.
No. All right, so I was kind of poking around on the whole Dawand thing after the game, and I don't want to poo-poo a win. It's a win and everything else, but I think this tackle thing is going to become a real problem. Jed was terrible yesterday, and I'm the one who was defending him. I was defending him last week.
You even said, I can't believe I'm going to die on that hill.
Awful.
You're dead.
And I died a bloody death. Now, it's one game. It's one game.
It's not one game, though, Jason. It's been a few years. He's not very good.
He's average. He was terrible Sunday. I still think he's average.
You're not going to drop him below average?
He's average.
He was below average yesterday.
Oh, for sure he was below average. But Dawand on the other side, the way that explained to me is he has a ton of missed assignments. And you may not see them because we don't know the play calls. We don't know the blocking schemes. And I've even said, Brian Baldinger just raves about this guy and the PFF grades. And I get eye rolls okay, well, they don't know what we're trying to do here. His missed assignments in the preseason was in the double digits. If that happens in the regular season, there's going to be massive problems.
He's a rookie playing one of the most difficult positions to come in and play right away.
And why did they start him over Hudson if they're so concerned?
But that's the thing. He's obviously outplayed Hudson at least. He's higher on the depth chart than James Hudson.
Yeah.
And Hudson got absolutely cooked in Pittsburgh 2 years ago.
No, let's not even talk about
that. And now here we go again with the rookie right tackle who may or may not be ready lining up against TJ Watt next Monday night.
That's going to be that's the biggest worry that I have going into Monday night is that
so
right there.
physically, Dawand Jones is ready to play in the NFL right now. There is no question about it.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah.
It's the maturity and it's the mental. Is he ready for it? We're going to find out.
By the way, I'm not just saying this because of the injury, because you and I both said this last year. I thought it was a terrible decision.
I didn't like
Browns
it.
have made a lot of good decisions. I thought it was lately, I thought there was a terrible decision to extend Jack Conklin because he was always hurt, and now he's hurt again.
That's going to be a nightmare contract.
Awful.
Nightmare
it's going to come back to haunt him.
He may be done. Done.
Well, listen, that double tear, I don't know if you had the double tear. I had the double tear.
I didn't have the MCL. I had the meniscus.
And he's old for an alignment at this point.
Tough.
You know?
It's tough.
He's
only
a
29.
linear. He's linear.
That's oldish.
He's linear. He stands up a lot. He does not bend his legs that well. He's an athletic build below the waist, generally speaking. And here's the thing: I got compared to the rest of my trunk, I got you're scared with people who have smallish type legs because you can't absorb that. If you see the play. He's kind of blocking backside, and a lot of those guys he got rolled up on. But that's why they teach the flexibility. That's why they want the flexibility in your legs and your hips. He just came off a really bad injury, and that's why I was so shocked when they gave him this contract. I'm like, whoa.
Everybody was.
I said I thought he was about to retire. And he's done. But I will say, go ahead, McNuggets.
On Conklin, just before you guys go into Dawand Jones, his contract situation is an issue.
Yes.
And just so we're all on the same page, his contract for this year, his guaranteed money is $14 million. Next year, and he signed the extension.
Why would they do
if
that?
they cut him, which he's injured, so I'm not sure you can cut him, but his day cap would be $22 million. He's due $13 million
They can't
next
cut
season.
him.
And then in 2025, where they have a potential out, The guaranteed money goes down.
Yeah, it was a big mistake.
His dead cap hits $15 million.
Yeah, it was a big mistake. But in the short term, I don't know. Like that's the thing. That's part of the reason you got Deshaun Watson. We'll get into details about how he played. It's amazing. We're 44 minutes in. We haven't really talked about the quarterback much. But when you have a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, who the best part of his game yesterday was his legs.
Absolutely.
And he's got to bail you out when the offensive line can't get the job done. A great quarterback, and certainly an athletic quarterback, can help you overcome struggles from an offensive line, and the tackles are certainly an issue right now. They're good in the middle. The interior's good.
They're very sound in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm woefully concerned about the
and let's face it, that's where you need to be strong.
Yes, but I'd be more concerned if they had a statue quarterback.
Now, here's what
it could be catastrophic.
Right.
I will say this about Dawand Jones. Now, look, he has the stature. He has what's on tape that looks good. Here's the thing. Sometimes when you're a young player, this happens to a lot of linemen. Everything on offensive linemen is a hierarchy type thing. You sit behind so-and-so. You sit behind Teller. You behind Joe Thomas. You behind Myles Garrett. So you may not really necessarily have the opportunity to be on the whiteboard when they're asking you, what do you do here? What do you do here? You're not on the spot. But then what happens, your talent takes over. You're just more talented than they are. And then now it's your coach's opportunity to hammer the mental stuff. Because here's the thing, Dawand Jones is physically better than Conklin, and he's physically better than Jed Wills.
Yes.
But now it's like, okay, sometimes you get in the game, and now it's like, oh, you up now. Oh, you better come prepared, come ready to go. Sometimes when you're a young dude, you don't have that until you thrust into that position. It's a Monday night game. I fully expect Bill Callahan to have him ready. I fully expect Teller to be telling him, hey, yo, this is what we got on this play. There was times when I was playing, I would tap somebody and be like, hey, what we got on this play?
Right.
See, and, we had guys, Rhodes Scholars type guys, and they say, G. Bush, you go do this. And I'm like, okay, cool. I could do that. And you know what? Eventually you grow into it. I don't have
Do you?
Yeah,
because
you eventually get it.
There's been times with Jed Wills where he's looking around like I'm the only guy at a party.
Well, not everybody grows into it, but
not everybody. But Dawand Jones has at least had Baldinger show us some stuff. He showed me physically, and he don't quit. He ain't quit on no plays.
I know.
And Jed been here 4 years doing this. Now, my scary thing is this: I don't trust Hubbard. Hudson. I don't trust Hudson that much either. And so it's like, this is where you look at Jason and you say, okay, well, now we're going to have to figure something out, because obviously Conklin is out and Jed Wills is going to have to play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's no out. There's nothing else. We already got one man down. He's going to have to play.
I'm concerned. The only reason I'm not 5 alarm bell concerned is because Callahan is guiding the ship. Like, we couldn't ask for a better offensive line coach to get this kid up to speed. Now, you said Callahan will have him ready. The problem is he's fighting Muhammad Ali next Monday.
Yes, he is.
Like with T.J. Watt, it's going to be, the learning curve is going to be dramatic.
And they just got their ass whipped yesterday.
I know they did. So they're coming in angry on a Monday night with a fueled up crowd.
Yes.
It's going to be a tough ask.
Get ready. All practice week, he should be above. Myles Garrett should be giving him basketball moves. We're getting ready. Don't even put the pads on. This is T.J. Watt going to the hole. So don't foul.
Jason says, keep an eye on this, a close eye on this, because it could get.
I'm just not that worried about it. I know it's a concern. I just feel like, and as when we get it, are we getting into Watson here? Or are we getting into Chubb? What are we getting?
I think both. We'll start with Chubb and then go to Watson, just because Chubb was.
No, hold on. Can I say this though? I'm not a hater. I thought Jed Wills overall on the run game played pretty well. I think he reached this guy 3 or 4 times. There was plays on the left-hand side where Chubb was running the stretch play. Jed Wills was able to – he walled off guys getting to the next level. I thought he had a big game when it comes to the run.
Yeah, but I think it's always been in the pass block where he's been like, where is he?
He had the D when it came to –
That's all well and good, because I just said last week he's not getting guys killed over there, and he damn near got Deshaun killed yesterday.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, he got Conklin hurt.
Sure, he did.
He got Conklin hurt.
I mean, that's a little bit of a bridge.
The guy he was battling with fell into Conklin.
I know, but that's one of those fluky things guys get rolled up on all the time.
I hear you.
I know what you're saying.
But his weakness on that play led to that injury, essentially. But I just think Deshaun Watson, Mikey, I think we got to get into Watson
we are going to get to Watson. But I have one thing first. I got a read, and then we got a bridge, and then you'll see what I'm going to do here. But before we do anything, if you guys haven't had enough Browns content between the post-game show, today's show,
3.7.
G. Bush is on the barbershop today on the UCSSU at 3 o'clock for his secondary reaction. He'll be reacting to the Browns win. He'll be reacting to our reactions.
It's a lot of reaction going on.
G. Bush, I'm not sure he has any more Kool-Aid to take, any more Kool-Aid to drink, but guess what? What do you got on the table, G. Bush? Steve, let's drop the graphic. Let's show G. Bush. He's got packs of Kool-Aid galore. The barbershop will be lit. That is at 3 o'clock today. Make sure you check out G.
One
Bush
free pack of Kool-Aid for every viewer.
Can we drop that graphic, by the way? Can we get that? Can we get the Kool-Aid Mafia going? Is that possible? Can we get them going? The Kool-Aid Mafia is alive and well. Can we get that? I got all kind of flavors in here that don't even exist. Pina colada, pineapple, and there you go. Right there, ready for the people. I don't play around. You said you wanted the shirts, the Kool-Aid Mafia. Right there with the beautiful pole in the back. Big Red is his name.
Who drew that?
Big Red. Listen, I got drawers and artists everywhere.
Bro, you're smoking.
Listen, look at him smoking that cigar. That's a cigar. That ain't.
You got a sweet in your mouth.
G. Bush, question about this. Don't drop this graphic. This is a question. Did you have to spell Kool-Aid with a C instead of a K?
I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah, I'm sure he did.
G. Bush don't get sued very often. No. We're smart over there. Shout out to my legal team. Hey, my mom had to scrub that thing 4 or 5 times. No, take the cool off. No, I don't know how I feel about him smoking a cigar. I finally got that passed. But the Kool-Aid Mafia, I got the shirts and the hats coming. Ooh, next week. I told you I wasn't playing around.
Is your mom the legal team?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk Watson after the announcement, but before that, and Jason, it ties it all together. You wrote an article this morning about Deshaun Watson, and specifically his touchdown run. And there's a member of the offensive line. Before we get off the offensive line, I think this is a nice transition into that. What made that play call so unique, and what was the key to that? Because on our phone call last night, you said you don't think a certain player could have executed, and then we're not talking about Deshaun Watson, a certain offensive lineman couldn't have executed that the way he did yesterday last season.
All right, so we'll start there. I think the whole key, I don't know if you have it or not, the whole key to the touchdown run late in the first half, they're at the 2nd and 10 from the 13, and Deshaun cans the play, checks into a run, and scores the touchdown, and everyone celebrates.
Didn't have trips to the right?
Trips right.
Yeah.
So the key to the whole play, though, was man coverage on the left. It was Amari Cooper manned up on the left side. Bengals are showing blitz, so they bring 2 linebackers to the line of scrimmage, and they had trips right. So Deshaun cans the play, motions Jerome Ford to the right. The whole key to it, though, really was the Wyatt Teller block. And you'll see it on the replay. Wyatt Teller had chips. I think it was Trey Hendrickson. And
Can we take that full tag board?
I don't know that he gets there last year because Wyatt had so many injuries. We've kind of talked about it before. He was battling a calf injury. He had bursitis in his knee. He had a high ankle sprain. He had a lot going on. And I don't think that he gets there.
Wow.
But this is why you're paying Wyatt Teller $17 million a year. Because I don't evaluate guards. Like, that's not what I do. But from everything I've been told, he's one of the best pulling guards in the NFL. He's a mauler at run blocking. And you marry the two together, and here he comes there. He gets just enough of a chip in to spring Deshaun on that play.
Yeah.
Now, the Browns, and Kevin kind of touched on this at the podium. Kevin and AVP put this play in Saturday morning as a last-minute add to the game plan. They were waiting for this particular look from Cincinnati to check into the play. And I was talking to some players in the locker room afterwards. I actually called Tyvis as well to let's go through this. And basically, Tyvis would probably explain this better than me, but they were going to bring pressure from the middle, and the Browns weren't exactly sure where the pressure was going to come from, but it didn't matter because they had the numbers to match it. The key was Hendrickson coming from the outside and Wyatt being able to get there to chip him. And like I said, last year, I don't think Wyatt gets there because he
barely
was so
got him, but he got him enough.
He barely got him,
Yeah.
but he got. But that's a lot you're asking on your right guard.
No doubt.
I mean, you know better than anybody what you're asking.
Especially against an athlete like
That's
Hendrickson.
a long
That's not
pool. You got to be athletic. It's wet outside.
So they were waiting that whole drive. They felt that whole drive like the Bengals were going to give them that look. And when they finally got that look, they got it just in time. And this is how big of a play that was because there's 13 seconds left and the Browns had to burn their last time out like 2 plays before that. So they're out of timeouts. If Wyatt doesn't get to that block, or if Deshaun gets stopped short, they got to clock it, and they're probably kicking a field goal.
Right.
Yeah.
That kind of ended the game to me at 10-0. It felt like it was over. It was a great play. Hendrickson had been having a great first half.
Yeah.
So for him, that's why the Bengals felt confident in kind of leaving Hendrickson alone on that side, basically.
Yeah.
And he did just enough on that play.
Now they end up winning 24-3, but it's in the moment. You're right. That felt like a huge play. It's a big difference going into the half, 6-0 or 10-0.
Yeah.
And to call, it was a gutsy call because you're out of timeouts. And if he doesn't make it, you're settling for 3.
You know, it's hard to say how the game plays out if the score had been a field goal there. But remember, when the Bengals went for it from the 20-yard line or whatever it was and got sacked, instead of it being 17-3 in that spot, it's 13-3.
Yeah.
And maybe they punt, hope their defense holds. Who knows what happens and how the game plays out. Yeah. But it's really funny. You talk so often about the little things.
Yep.
Like, it's all of these little things. A lot of times someone will say, well, it came down to the last play. Well, every play in the game, there was a little thing that happened. A little thing. The effort is free. Did the team that gave the most effort win that play? And more often than not, if you win more plays during the course of the game, you're going to come out on top. And yesterday, they just won the vast majority of every play.
Yeah.
It was really something. Now, on offense, you know, it wasn't a stellar performance. It really wasn't. I think the Bengals pretty much gifted them 7 points. However, the Browns were on their way to a touchdown when they had the Ford fumble. So you can probably say that, you know, take one away, give the other one there. It's still a 24-point performance by the offense. I was fascinated by what they did with Nick Chubb. The 4 catches, it seems small, but without having Kareem Hunt in this offense, and I know Jerome Ford is there are issues there. We've talked about our concerns at running back. The way they used Nick Chubb yesterday, for me, is the blueprint for how they should use him every single game. He was still under 20 carries. He went over 100 yards. The 4 catches, to me, just plants the seed in the defense that, oh, this guy's a ball catcher now.
He was their leading receiver yesterday. He was their leading receiver with 4 catches.
In number.
Not in yardage.
Right, not in yards.
No, but
in
in receptions.
Yeah, I mean,
well, they didn't throw. I mean, Watson didn't throw the ball particularly well yesterday.
No,
but what made it so nice was on a day where the weather dictated that it was going to be difficult to throw the football.
Yeah.
And let's face it, wet or not, Deshaun Watson did not have a good day.
No.
His first pass was overthrown. And I think after that, he tried to adjust, not putting as much on, because a lot of times the quarterback's hyped up. You'll see that first throw sails high. Watch the Super Bowl. It's almost every first throw for all the quarterbacks, the ball sails high. But then he was missing low.
I mean, in terms of throwing the ball, he had a terrible day.
Awful.
Let's be honest. Awful. He had a terrible day.
But the Browns shifted and said, we've got number 24.
Right, but ultimately, they need Deshaun Watson to play better if they're going to consistently win and win games that matter when it matters.
They do, but what was nice was this blueprint proves that, yes, it's a passing league. You got to pass to win, and both in the micro and the macro. However, if the passing game isn't there in a game in December, you've got number 24.
This is why.
Use this guy. And yesterday I thought they used him perfectly.
And we are going to talk more about the offense and Deshaun Watson in a sec, Jay. But before we dive into a topic, look at the clock. And that means we have an announcement to make.
That's right. It's coming up on
noon. And we have
noon.
been teasing this, and we're going to do it right now. Before we mention the announcement, though, the last pause in this major announcement, I just want to say from the bottom of everyone's heart here at UCSS, thank you guys to the people on YouTube who have made this show a success. We do this for you guys. We have fun. We hopefully entertain and educate you guys on a daily basis. You guys have come up in numbers that we have never seen before, and we expect that to continue throughout Brown season as we continue to celebrate Browns victories. Hopefully there aren't many losses, but we will also educate you guys and cry with you guys if there are losses during the season as well, which inevitably there most likely will be at some point. So, with that being said, are you guys ready to break some news here? Jay, do you want to do the honors?
No, I think you should.
So we're a little YouTube show. Yep. At least we were a little YouTube show. I don't think you can put the little in front of the YouTube show anymore. But also, starting this Friday, we are a top 20 TV market television show as well. From 12:30 to 1 o'clock on Fridays for the upcoming football season, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show will not only be a YouTube show, we will be a Channel 3 broadcast television show.
Wow.
We made it, boys.
Very excited.
That's incredible.
We have made it.
That's
now,
incredible.
for the YouTube people out there, the last half hour of Friday's show will not be live on YouTube. It'll be live upstairs on Channel 3, and then we will post it immediately after to YouTube in case you missed anything. For you guys out there, it'll be a lot of stuff you've already seen because it's a new audience that we haven't tapped into yet.
Yep.
But we are not forgetting about you guys. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, YouTube only. The first 90 minutes of Friday, YouTube only, and then we go to TV for that last half hour. It's going to give us an opportunity to tap into an untapped market of Cleveland sports fans who may not be as familiar with YouTube, and that's going to make the numbers on the YouTube show even better. It's going to make us more money, which means we can make a lot more things for the YouTube program even better. It was a goal of ours when we started. We want to be on TV. We want to reach that 2 million person audience that we are not able to tap into through YouTube. And it is the start of the UCSS rocket to the moon. But we don't take off without you guys out there supporting us on YouTube.
I think we've taken off today. Almost 4,000 people watching right now, by far the most we've ever had watching at one time.
Incredible.
But being able to be on WKYC, which Jay is every day, is very exciting for all of us because it shows that the whole company believes in this show, believes in us and what we've done, that believes that all the audience that we have is going to come with us. Even though, most of the shows are still going to be here, but that will, as Mike said, there's a new audience, especially some older fans who are not as savvy and finding things on YouTube.
Yeah, that's the key.
They're not as smart as you guys.
So here's the thing.
Frankly.
Once we go to linear television, and there's no barrier to entry anymore. It's free, and you can click your television and turn it on. A lot of folks still haven't realized that you can do that every day with the WKYC 3 Plus app, or the WKYC Plus app. If you put that app on any smartphone and you go to WKYC Plus, we're there every day from 11 to 1. You can watch us on your big screen at home. It doesn't have to be on a computer screen or on a phone.
Yeah.
But I think what this really, knocks down a huge door for us because now we'll be able to promote that 30 minutes. And the whole idea, and we've done that already here, the audience is like a snowball going down a hill. It gathers snow as it rolls. And that's what this show has done. We were in the hundreds in our, of live views. Whenever we cracked 1,000, that was huge for us. For a YouTube show, that's a big audience. And now we're 17 months in or 16 months, whatever we are, that snow is just gathering, and now we're pushing 4,000 live views.
Yeah.
Once we go to WKYC and people are introduced to what we do every day, we can explain to them there how easy it is for them to watch us every day. It doesn't have to be on Channel 3.
That's right.
And the whole idea is to get them hooked, to see what they are missing, and then figure out, man, this has to be a part of my life. My son yesterday was at the Browns Backers Bar in New York watching the game. I've been to several Browns Backers bars across the United States. It never ceases to amaze me what kind of a following this team has nationally. Corey told me there were 400 fans in there, and that was the capacity of the bar. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge bar. And he said you wouldn't know that you weren't in Westlake. And he said most of the people are from, he was talking to all the people, and they're saying, I'm from, Cuyahoga Falls, or I'm from Westlake, or I'm from Rocky River, all these areas. And that's an audience that, I don't know if it's still true, but not long ago, our metrics folks told me that half of our viewers are from outside the state of Ohio.
Yeah, which is wild.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of audiences that we're yet to tap into, like that Browns Backers Bar in New York.
Yeah.
We've got to do something with them so they can, because Corey's like, these people can't get enough Browns content.
Right.
I can tell you our latest metric report, and we're going to get back to Deshaun Watson in 12 seconds. 51% of our views come from Ohio, 49% come from outside of Ohio. So we are a worldwide, or at least nationwide show.
Well, hell, we know we've got viewers in Germany, Australia, and England that watch the show regularly that we hear from. And probably
Browns fans
other
are the
places.
best. They are everywhere. We're
India.
excited to go on TV. We are not forgetting about the YouTube channel and the people who helped us get here. 90 minutes of Friday show live, and then we're going to post the 30-minute segment from TV on YouTube.
So 12:30 to 1 every Friday during football season on WKYC Channel 3. And quickly, before we transition, I want to give a shout out, and I want him to know that we're all thinking of him. Jim Donovan yesterday announced during his radio call of the Browns game that he's going to take a medical leave of absence. Many of you know that Jim has been battling leukemia. This has been an ongoing fight for decades for Jim. reoccurred about 4 or 5 months ago. He's been, boy, you talk about a brave and valiant guy. I talked to Jimmy Friday, and I said, Jimmy, you look great. How do you feel? I feel good. Are you ready for the season? I feel ready for the season. He had to know at that time that he was going to announce that he was only going to do this game and then take a leave of absence. But you would never know it. He doesn't like talking about himself. He keeps that as quiet as he can. He's a private man when it comes to that stuff, and we respect that. I just want Jim Donovan, who, I've said it before, I'll say it again, was my television hero. Mm-hmm. He was the guy when I was young in high school, and he's been here 40 years, and at Bowling Green. My parents would tape all of his sportscasts and send his tapes to me so I could watch his sportscasts weeks old, and I just would study what he did, and I was always mesmerized by just how good he is. Jimmy's the best local sports guy I've ever seen, and for my money, he's the best radio play-by-play voice I've ever listened to. We love you, Jimmy. We are thinking of you. We're with you step by step. We know you're going to make it through this, and we can't wait until we hear you back in the Browns booth calling action like only you can.
That's right.
So we're thinking of you, Jimmy.
All the best to Jim. Obviously, I know what he's going through family-wise, but
it's tough.
Well, yeah. One other thing I want to say real quick about the WKYC thing is thank you to WKYC and Tegna for believing in us. I don't mean to point to myself, believing in us and believing in this show and showing that by committing to us being on linear TV.
It's a big deal.
All right, let's talk about Deshaun Watson here, guys, because it's interesting. He didn't play a particularly throwing the ball. He wasn't very good. He was completely inaccurate in this game. Made a couple of nice throws, but was very inaccurate.
Yeah.
We got to keep it real, right? Because we're not going to do what Browns fans have done for 20 years, is pretend mediocre quarterback play is good. No. He didn't play very well. But what gave me hope after this game was something we didn't see at all last year. It was command. Mm-hmm. It was confidence to the point of cockiness. It was his use of his legs. On the play we just talked about, when Wyatt Teller got the block, I mean, it was a great run on him. He used his legs effectively well, and he said he was smart enough to know, because he's got the plays in the huddle. He can switch it up. We talked about him switching up into that play. He knows, hey, running game's working. I'm going to stick with this. I'm struggling, whether it's the weather, whether I'm anxious about the first game, whatever it is. I'm not very accurate right now. Let's focus on my legs and Nick Chubb's legs, and let's get this game done. And I thought that was a good sign. Now, long term, he's got to play a lot better. He didn't play well enough. They won anyway. That's good. But he's got to play better. But I thought the swag was there. And I think that leads me to believe that the passes will be there eventually.
Jason's biting his tongue.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Show of hands, who are the psychopaths around here who said they would rather Deshaun ball out in a loss than not play well in a win? Because he just didn't play well in a win.
Yeah, I'll take the L on that one. Yep. I'll take the L.
Yep, come on.
Fair enough.
And that's exactly what happened. And while it was happening, I said,
put your hand up. Put your hand up.
I said, somewhere Mikey and Bull are going, this is a nightmare for me. This is a nightmare for me. Because I always take the win. Always take the win.
All right.
Well, Bull, I think this is the equivalent of a pitcher who is a fastball pitcher coming into a game and realizing right away, I can't spot it. So he goes to his secondary pitch, and he's throwing curveballs, and he's changing speeds, change-ups, and guys can't hit it, so they're winning. It's not pretty. They won 6-4. He gave up a couple of big hits, but he did enough to win the war. Now, the next time that pitcher comes out, who's a fastball pitcher, the fastball's there. How is it that he had it 1 week and not the... Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Sometimes it's in the bullpen and you leave it there. Sometimes it's not in the bullpen and you find it. The beauty of what happened yesterday for me, it told me that despite all of our talk that Deshaun Watson has to be great or this season is a wash, with this defense and with Nick Chubb playing the way he did and utilizing him the way they did, I no longer think that he has to be an elite top 5 for this team to make the playoffs. I don't. I just don't.
For this team to get where they want to go,
he's got to be top 10.
He has to be.
At some point, he's going to need to be.
And
what I learned last night is if it's not there and he doesn't have it against a great team, We still haven't.
But that's where we say it's one game. We don't know.
I know. We don't know.
It's uncomfortable.
It was encouraging.
It's uncomfortable coming off the 6 games he had last year to struggle the way he did yesterday throwing the ball. It's very uncomfortable. But you take the win every time because you still have 16 more games in front of you.
I don't think it's uncomfortable. You know why?
It was raining, yes.
Because the guy that was you want 154 or 82?
Well,
that 82,
either, but 154 is better than
82's been to a Super Bowl.
I get that, but this a different.
And it's coming off a calf
This is a
injury.
different year. And I watched the press conference. I wanted to see what Joe Burrow said. He said, "Bro, I mean, ball was wet. I couldn't really get a grip on it like that. It was just tough, man. We really didn't have it. I didn't have the chemistry. We didn't do it." I watched that game. And you know why I was sitting here thinking? I said, this is sponsored by Watermelon Kool-Aid, by the way, man. You know, sometimes you don't gotta, this is close to red, but it's not really red.
Bro,
right?
I think every day we should have a pitcher of Kool-Aid made with
Listen,
ice.
we
and
have a
4
pitcher.
cups.
We have Kool-Aid. It's a tech hazard. It's gonna spill. There's no way we're not gonna spill. That's the issue.
I'm not putting my feet on the table anymore,
we
okay?
really have-
It's so big now.
So the reason why I got the watermelon Kool-Aid, this is a theme, this is a scheme, so stay with me, is because, yeah, my favorite Kool-Aid is red, but sometimes you ain't got red. Sometimes you like, it's all gone. You got to go to the store. I got watermelon. This will work for me today. And the Browns' game plan was, hey, we want red Kool-Aid. I'm sure they wanted to come out there and throw the ball over the park. I'm sure they wanted to show this new shiny offense. And I'm sure Deshaun Watson did not plan on skipping balls to people that were wide open and overthrowing people that were wide open as well. But one thing that Jay is correct on is this. Sometimes if you ain't got your best stuff, the good teams find a way to win those games.
They have more than one pitch.
And you got more than one something you could go to. And I go back to Leroy and I tell him, listen, Nick Chubb is different. He's the king of the North. You got to understand the Game of Thrones references, bro. Sometimes in the North, it's going to get cold. Sometimes in the North, your little magic and your dragons don't work against our ice wall. Nick Chubb is... See what I'm doing right there?
I get it.
Sometimes the White Walkers is up here and you spooked. It get dark early in the North. It get cold earlier in the North. And sometimes it's unpredictable. But the thing of the king of the North, Nick Chubb, he's battle tested.
He travels.
He travels. You know what travel? And there's one thing I always say. You go to anybody got a gold jacket to tell you. You know what travels? The running game and defense.
That's it. And that's where we're strong.
That travels. So guess what? Hey, Deshaun, we know you can hit them throws. We'll work on it. We'll continue to build that up. But I'm going to tell you what. You know what can work until that get fixed? Is that running game and that defense. And sometimes when you're thirsty, I'll take some watermelon Kool-Aid.
I'll be curious to see how he plays.
Is okay.
It's okay.
Obviously, the weather was a factor for both quarterbacks. Certainly that played a role.
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
Who here has played football in wet conditions, tried to throw a football in wet conditions? We take for granted, because we're sitting at home and it's comfy and warm and dry, we're like, come on, he's got to hit that throw. My explanation for why he was adequate and Joe Burrow was well below average was because Joe Burrow, and he even joked about this, you know, after he made it to the Super Bowl, I guess I'm doing okay with my small hands. Yeah, small hands they're not ideal, but you can throw a ball in dry conditions with small hands. Get it wet now.
Yeah, it's
try to palm a wet basketball.
Yeah,
But it wasn't a hurricane.
Yeah,
but the ball was wet. The ball
we're
was
making
wet
too many excuses.
But
Guys
listen,
didn't play well.
But what I'm saying about this is the same thing last year for the Saints game. I was at that game, and I'm trying to imagine that I'm down on the field trying to throw or catch a football.
Yeah.
Like, you got to temper your expectations with the weather. And I know it wasn't a hurricane, but the ball was wet all day.
I want to go back to that
And the
Saints
receivers' hands
game.
were wet all day.
I want to go back to that Saints game in 1 minute, but here's the thing that's weird about it, because we've seen much heavier rain than that. It was like a steady, it's heavier than a mist, but it wasn't
But
pouring
everything was
by any
wet
means.
the whole day.
But I wonder, and I don't know this, but I just wonder if the fact that neither team expected it is why it had such a big impact.
Possibly.
Because the game plans for both sides were for a clear day. Nobody was expecting it to rain.
It's a 5% chance. I love our weather folks, but everybody missed it.
Yeah, and Kevin even joked about it after the game. He's like, I think a lot of the weather people are wrong around
I
here.
think we're making too many excuses. We can't say the Browns defense played great and beat up
I
Burrow.
don't think it's an excuse. It's an explanation.
It's a factor. It's not good enough. Joe Burrow was awful. And Deshaun Watson did not play well enough. He has to play
But
better.
you admit that with a small hand, throwing a wet football is more difficult.
I don't know. I've never seen Joe Burrow. He's played in the rain before. He's never had a problem. So that's not an excuse.
Kevin basically acknowledged that they had to alter the game plan because of the rain. They came in expecting this, and they got that. Now, does that explain 154 and 82? Not entirely, but I think it was a little bit of a factor in it. Just the fact that they weren't expecting it. Therefore, the playbook was not set for those conditions.
What grades you give for Watson?
I give him a C.
I give him a C.
C minus.
C.
Yeah,
but he only gets a C because I thought he led well and he ran well.
Oh, yeah.
Also, he started horrible. He was worse than Joe to start.
Yeah.
What I was most impressed with was he brought it back in. Like, if the train was wobbling and going sideways, he kept it on the tracks. He knew when to run. He moved the sticks appropriately. I thought all of his decisions to tuck and run were right. I thought the two things that disappointed me the most, and we'll talk about this throughout the year, I'm afraid, Marquise Goodwin is not fast for NFL standards. He is world-class fast. Right. He's one of the fastest guys, if not in the NFL, still at his age. He underthrew him twice on balls that he had him for touchdowns.
Yep.
Now, the good news here is Marquise is going to get behind defenses all year long. We've got to figure out a way to make sure Deshaun, overthrow him by 5 yards.
Tyvis and I were joking in the press box at halftime about that, and Tyvis said, tell that man throw it as far as you can.
Yes,
Marquise will get there. Just throw it as far as you can, and Marquise will get it.
Yeah, I think Deshaun, as just a thrower, was a D.
Oh, absolutely.
As overall, he was a C because I thought the other parts of the game were a B.
I agree.
I found myself saying during the game, when you're playing in those games and you're in lineman and you're playing D-line or you're playing offensive line, you just find yourself saying, give me one throw. Just give me a couple. I don't need much. Just so there was a couple.
And he did make some clutch throws. The sticks and kept drives going.
The throw to I thought DPJ on the sideline was a dime. I was like, wow, he caught that
over the defender, and he threw it in a window.
That was his best throw today.
And sometimes I didn't want him to get shell shocked. Because you got to let it go. Sometimes, especially in the rain, you might not want to let it go because you're scared guys might fall down, receivers will just trip. Yeah. But I thought he did enough. And when he did run the football, I thought he didn't run like a quarterback. He ran like, oh, no, this is
it. He was looking to take the contact and
to move the chains.
I want to go back to the Saints game that you mentioned last year. And if there's all kinds of analytics out there and advanced stats and everything else. One of them that I find interesting is ADOT, average depth of target, and it's telling you how far down the field they're trying to drive the ball. Average depth of target is how far does the ball travel through the air. So it's not a dump and run. You don't get the yak yards.
Last year, everything was short.
Everything was short. His ADOT yesterday in the first half was over 12 yards a pass, which is, they're driving the ball down the field. They're trying to find chunk plays.
That was sticking with the game plan before they knew that the elements were going to knock them out of it.
So when they dialed it back, by the end of the game, it was still 10.9. Burrow was around 7. Even at 10-9, it was higher than any of his 6 games last year.
Oh, that's a good sign.
But here's the interesting part. His ADOT yesterday was 10-9. In the Saints game, it was 10-8. So that tells you it doesn't matter the conditions. Kevin don't care if it's rain, sleet, blizzard. It don't matter. They are going to throw the ball down the field in the snow and the rain.
Well, it was funny you're saying that because as I'm watching the Saints game and someone had told me that what the Browns are going to do in this Saints game is going to be reflective of what they're going to do next year.
Yeah.
Which 10.8, 10.9.
Yeah, 10.8, 10.9.
Now, I disagree with Kevin not changing the game plan last year in New Orleans. I kept screaming it. I was at the game. I just kept saying, why are we not, do we not know it's cold and snowy? We were playing the game like it was September 10th.
And I was asking people after the season about that game. And it was, if David Njoku catches the ball in the end zone that hits him right here, what's the conversation like after that game? Is even in those conditions, Deshaun leads them to victory.
Right.
And all he had to do was to catch the ball and hit him right there.
And I might be crazy for this, but even though I give Deshaun a D on his throwing, because his throwing sucked yesterday.
He ended up over 50%.
Which is not good.
He was 16 of 29, but at one point,
he had a lot of
was like 7 for 18 or so. It was terrible.
But despite that game, believe it or not, gave me confidence that he's going to play well this year because I never saw him look confident last year. He looked scared. He looked out of sorts. He looked not unsure of himself. All 6 of
I'm
those
with
games
you on
last
that.
year. And
I agree with
maybe I'm
that.
just conning myself because you're looking at me like, you don't know what the hell you're talking
No,
about.
I
could be wrong. But I saw a guy who was playing with confidence. He wasn't playing well, but he was playing with confidence. And I just don't believe the talent disappeared.
Baker played with confidence for 4 years.
And it wasn't good enough.
Confidence only
Baker,
gets you
this
so
would be a
far.
bad time
Talented.
to remind Bull that Baker has 2 more touchdowns and 1 more win than Joe Burrow. Wow.
And that meaningless stat of the day is brought to you by...
Well, it's always meaningless when it goes the other way.
Is that a meaningful stat? Is that a meaningful stat?
It is for 1 week.
For 1 week, yeah.
Yes, that's it. And I'm not going to read into that because I'm still buying Joe Burrow long term and selling Baker.
Yeah.
But we won't even get into
Baker
that. 'cause that
did
takes
throw
us-
2 touchdowns.
That's my
Yeah.
fault. Sorry, I mentioned
you
Baker.
brought him up.
I
No,
mentioned
you
Baker.
brought him up.
listen, let's not be phony about this. Watson's got to play way better than he did yesterday.
course. He does.
Way better.
Yes.
He's not playing.
But-
he has not played a single game for the Browns out of 7 like a franchise quarterback.
No, he hasn't.
None,
However,
including yesterday. But they won the
I
game.
know you said you feel better because he at least played with confidence.
Yes.
I feel better because he has a defense that provides him with an ultimate safety net. Also, all the talk in the offseason about we're going to be pass. Nick Chubb's involvement probably won't be what it was. That was the prototypical, to me, that's the textbook way you use Nick Chubb. You hand it to him 16 or 17 times. You throw it
You
to him.
complained about 16, 17
Yes.
times.
Because they
You
weren't throwing
complained.
him the ball. He caught 4. He was their leading receiver.
No,
yesterday.
you were on that 20 carry wagon. You were on that
Didn't
20
get
carry
money.
wagon
all
last
along
year.
is this: if you're not going to throw him the ball, then give it to him 5 more times.
He's
I don't
yesterday
think you
they-
ever said
Watch
that
this.
once.
Yes, but I'm
Yeah.
talking touches. With Nick Chubb, I want touches.
Say it 20
because
touches.
when they put the football in his hand, the sticks get moved.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
true.
The difference, the reason they won that game, it was not because of the quarterback. It was because Nick Chubb
And the
won-
defense.
and the defense.
And that travels.
It don't have to be all or nothing. It don't gotta be Deshaun Watson got to get 400 so I can say he's a franchise quarterback and I'll feel better. No, I want him to. We gonna get these wins. 24-3 make me feel good. 24-3 makes me feel good and great about what we're gonna do. And by the way, on
Are
Monday
you
night,
still on 4,800 yards?
I have not piped down yet. Listen, because guess what? It's not going to rain all day in Pittsburgh.
Do we
next
know that?
week. Hopefully it ain't. If it's not going to rain all day in Pittsburgh, and we coming up here, think about it. If he just hits the wide open throws that he missed, we over 300
By the way,
pass game.
Steelers already frustration. George Pickens already retweeting tweets from people saying he needs to get the ball more.
Oh, my goodness.
And you could tell.
I saw a clip of him on the sideline.
And DD!
One shot at the end of the game when the wind was blowing. And
DD!
You could say,
We
we're
done
about
got-
to go full Keyshawn.
Didi, we got the Bengals up out of here. They real coy right
I know
now.
we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I had said
we
last
coming.
week, imagine if the Browns beat the Bengals
Yeah.
and go to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers to start the season 2-0. What will this city be like? And guys,
All right. Yeah.
I know you never put any dubs in the column before you get them.
Nope.
But the way things have played out rolling into week 2, I
Let's
like
get it.
their chances up
Oh,
in
yeah.
Pittsburgh.
I like them
The Browns will be.
chances.
Listen, the Browns are going to be 3-0 going into the home game with the Ravens in Week 4.
Wow.
You can mark that down. That's over. Steelers suck. I said they sucked. I said Kenny Pickett sucks. I'm right. Kenny Pickett sucks.
You're the one who screams all the time about
wait a minute.
overreacting in week 1, and look at you now.
I know, it's absurd.
Taking a victory lap after week 1.
San Francisco is
It's an-
probably one of the best, if not the best defenses
Listen,
in
we're
the
doing
NFL.
absurd overreaction. We've already decided that the Browns defense is the greatest ever,
Yeah.
and they're never going to lose, even though the
talking.
quarterback played bad.
Yeah.
So we're doing
Let's
overreaction.
go full
Monday.
There it is.
overreaction
Yes.
Monday.
Bull's,
Yes, that's
Bull's
it.
the one always saying, don't
Yes.
overreact to week
Don't
1. Don't
overreact.
overreact to week 1. Now look
Pickett
at him.
sucks. Any chance he gets to say Pickett sucks,
When
he'll
it
go.
backs up what I believe, I'm going for it every
Overreact all you
time.
want.
We are doing tomorrow.
And all the
top
fans
5.
agree with me. Everybody's with me on this.
Well,
Kenny
what's the
Pickett
name of your
sucks.
fantasy team, by the way?
It depends what
Kool-Aid.
league.
Is it the Argumentative?
Yes.
Mafia.
Oh, in this league, yes,
Yeah.
argumentative.
Okay, so
It does-
Corey sent him a trade yesterday.
Oh.
You want to tell him what it was?
He sent me a trade of
I said, what are you doing with that?
Baker Mayfield and
Jordan Addison.
And Jordan Addison, the rookie who had a good game for Minnesota.
Great game.
For Jamar Chase. That was high-level trolling with a fantasy trade.
Wait, what-
I thought it was
Corey,
Anthony,
Corey,
though.
what are you doing? He
spectacular.
goes,
Yeah.
I know he's not going to take that. I'm trolling him.
I know, it was
That
great.
It was
I
great.
wish I'd have thought of that.
I
That
thought it was
spectacular.
Anthony.
I know, because you tweeted to the chain.
Yeah.
Anthony, this is out of pocket.
That's right. That was so funny. That was great.
Yeah,
that was
good job.
I lost my first game
By the way,
again.
the Crawford's looking solid this year. You led the league in scoring.
And Stephon Diggs.
Well, the week's not over yet.
I know. He's going to score 180 points.
Real quick.
The Yacht Boys in the building, the Crawfords,
Yeah,
the Yacht Boys,
we got this
WWE Tag Team Champions.
Mike, before you go,
The Yacht Boys.
I got to tell you, I called Mike when I was leaving the stadium last night. I called Mike, and the Cowboys-Giants game had just started.
Oh, yeah, you texted
and obviously,
us that.
he's a big Giants fan. And I'm like in the middle of a sentence. He goes, "Oh, F you, your mother effer." It's like, he goes, "No, not."
That was the pick six.
He goes, "No, not you."
That was the second play. It was the block field goal.
Hey,
Oh, okay.
By the way, I
As soon
didn't
as
think it was
Jason
possible
called,
for a
all
team to
hell
play
broke
worse
loose.
than the Bengals yesterday.
The Dallas-
but the Giants were even
the
worse.
Dallas Cowboys defense was
Rank
just.
the wins in order of impressiveness. The Cowboys over the Giants,
Yeah.
the
Wow.
Lions over the Chiefs, or the Browns over the Bengals.
I say.
That's
I mean,
tough.
Cowboys, what was it, 40-0? That has to be
I
number
actually-
one.
I mean,
That has to
I'm
be
there
number
with you.
one.
First of all, I knew the Jones signing was just that's going to be a nightmare for that franchise for a long time.
Wow.
No, it's only 2 years
I'm with you.
guaranteed.
The 40 points. There were some fluke scores in there, but the 40 points and they scored none.
Yeah. And losing Kelsey,
I would go Giants,
I think it was-
Browns, Lions.
I agree with that.
no Kelsey dings the
Right,
the
that's
Lions
why I would
win.
bring the
It's no
Lions.
fault of their own. It's just
And no Chris Jones.
It's really
no Chris
2 and
Jones.
2A with the Browns and the Lions.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah.
No, I actually think the Browns win is close to the Cowboys win.
Do you?
Only
I do
because the
too.
Cowboys have been a good team the last couple of years. The
And-
Browns haven't.
Yeah, and the Chiefs game was close.
And the Bengals are way better than the Giants are.
Way better.
Way better.
So I would think the Browns win is it's right there with the Cowboys.
Now,
I
in
think-
typical Cowboy fashion, they'll go out and lose to the Commanders
Oh,
next week,
100%.
or whoever they play. So-
100%. Yeah.
We got a couple more things to get to real quick, though. If you're not already a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Room, now is a great time to join. For $1.99 a month, you get all the starters tier perks, which are loyalty badges, custom emojis, and members-only community posts. For $4.99 a month, you get all those same starter tier perks, plus overtime videos, member shout-outs. You can text with select members of the UCSS panel during Browns games. Jason did a phenomenal job informing the UCSS members of what was going on during the Browns game from the press box. Jason, thank you for that. That was a very insightful little nugget
Yeah, it
for our
was fun.
members there, and we appreciate you. And I think you have fun doing that too. So for $4.99 a month, that is another perk. We're going to
I
continue
got to
to do
ask
that
about that
for select
'cause
games. So.
I don't know if I was texting the right list or not. Actually,
That's
know.
actually a great point. You may be
Yeah.
giving that content out for free. I'll
Oh,
double
man.
check on the back end, but I did not get yelled at for that.
By the
So
way,
I
Steve
think you
Becker
did it
made a
right.
good point. He's right. I watched a lot of this game. The Rams over
Oh,
the
I know.
Seahawks. That
Yeah.
was very impressive as well.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, there's talk of him being finished. He didn't look finished.
Didn't look finished. The Rams didn't look finished. I know we kicked dirt on the Rams saying, well, now they're going to go through a rebuilding stage.
Guess
How
they're not
about
trading
Aaron Donald? I
The-
was disappointed in Seattle. Miami had an impressive
That was a
win.
great game against
Well,
the Chargers.
That was the best
Back and
game of the week,
forth.
I
Yeah.
think. I think.
Yeah.
And we got two more things with the Browns we got to talk
But
to.
real quick, Mike, Puka Nacua, 5th-round pick, had 15 targets, 10 catches, over 100 yards for the Rams.
Was he
5th-round
and he's
pick.
probably available in 80% of the leagues before yesterday.
Puka Nacua. Love the name.
Wow, I do.
Go ahead,
Somebody's
Mike.
got to get targets for the Rams without Cooper Kupp. We talked about all preseason. Our most viewed clips all preseason were about a kicker,
Yeah.
about Cade York. And there were no kicker problems yesterday. Dustin Hopkins looked phenomenal in his Browns debut. I asked this to G on the postgame show, so G, I'll let you go last here. I want the other three guys to chime in. But how good did it feel to have a Browns kicker kick a ball and it go the direction with the right spin and everything else
Well, didn't
compared
Cade
to
York,
what we came
Cade York
accustomed
kicked
to
the
the last year and a
58-yard
half?
game winner in Week 1?
I know, but we're scarred. We have PTSD.
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to kickers.
Right.
And you always say about the passing game, why can't we look like other teams?
Yes.
Why is it when other teams are heavy pass, they've got 2 or 3 guys open on every play? Yesterday, I felt for the first time since Phil Dawson, we look like other teams kicking the ball.
No,
The
that's
ball-
not fair.
Yeah.
Guys, even
That's not-
listen,
Cade-
No.
even
Cade
when
York-
Cade York was
No.
making kicks, they were sneaking in the left upright.
yeah,
or
I
they
know.
had wobble to
After
them.
Week 1 of
Every-
last year?
I'm just saying.
Are you
no,
serious?
No, listen.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
But as the year played out for the whole year, like he had so many makes that were just
Agreed,
barely
Jay.
inside. Yesterday, I think all 4 kicks went right over
Jay,
the center
agree.
upright.
It's
I
one
agree.
game. He
I
did a
agree.
good job.
He looked great.
None of the kicks were over
I can't
43
judge him on
yards.
week 2.
We
He hasn't
can't
played
judge.
it yet.
We don't know if the problem's been
No,
solved.
but we
Cade
can-
York, we thought we were completely solved after Week 1 last year.
We did.
Completely
You're right.
solved.
Yes.
Cade York didn't in his first game. He didn't have all that. rain, all that.
He made a 58-yard game
That would have
winner,
been good
G.
from 65. He hit the back of the
It would have
net.
been good from 70.
From
Listen,
59, he hit the
kicked
back of
short
the
kicks.
net.
Come on now.
That's cool. Listen, I'm telling you like this. Everybody got that feeling when I done seen kicks blocked. I done seen kicks hit the upright. I done seen kicks be like this straight and then weave to the right.
Listen.
I love the fact that after my traumatic stress disorder with Cade York, the next guy came in. The first game was rainy. They couldn't throw the football, so what makes me think they can kick the
All right,
football? And the ball went right down.
He did a
the
nice
middle
job.
of Euclid.
He
and
did
I
a nice
love it.
job.
His kickoffs were good.
Yeah,
He did a nice job. You can't say it's solved.
No,
It's one
but
game.
all we can judge him on is week 1.
I know, but week 1 last year we were
I'm
settled
giving
too.
this guy 5 stars after week 1.
Yep.
He did a great job.
Yeah,
Five
I
stars.
can't judge him on week 2
There's
yet.
nothing negative to say. But to say after week 1 you weren't feeling great about kicker last year is absurd.
I didn't.
It's absurd revisionist
I didn't
history.
say that. I know. I don't
But
know.
G's alluding to that.
But
and come on.
No, he said it's the best you've felt since Phil Dawson.
Yes, you just said it.
Listen, I'm talking not past one game. I'm talking the way he put the ball through the uprights. To me, style points do matter in kicks. It seemed like Cade York, and I'm not making this up, every kick, this is what it looked like in every living room in America. Guys, get up to the front of your chair. Every Browns fan living room, everybody's like this.
like
On extra points.
you just
And then when it comes through, yes.
This is insane. The
you
man
mean?
kicked a 58-yard game-winning field goal in week 1.
It was great.
We were beyond excited.
We were.
And then it went downhill.
Yeah.
Same thing might happen with this guy. Maybe it doesn't. I have no idea.
but all we have to judge him on was one
to
game.
say based on week 1 you feel the best that you felt since Phil Dawson, you
Yes.
said the same thing last year.
You
should have.
Maybe I did. I probably did. I was the
Yeah.
one that loved the draft pick.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, after having PTSD,
Yeah.
because last year was traumatic, and the preseason was, my God.
2 weeks was
the preseason
dramatic.
Yes,
was
he
torture.
did a good job.
So I can only judge him on what he did yesterday.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, my level of trust going into every kick this year with this guy, until he shows me otherwise, and he's going to miss kicks, guys, he will.
Right.
I joked yesterday when McPherson missed, cut him.
Yeah, right.
But that's a reference to where we are with kickers
Right.
today. You're not allowed to miss. But I just thought he looked and acted like a veteran professional kicker. And by the way, I don't know if you guys heard his post-game comments, but just the way he carried himself in the post-game.
The sample size makes you comfortable. Like if you tell me I can pretty much get, if he's anything under 50 and he's that good, I feel good about that.
I get it. I'm just saying we were saying the same things last
It was
year
funny.
for week 1. That's all I'm saying.
It was funny being in the stadium when he hit the first one.
You could hear the cheers.
Oh, it was like it was a game winner.
Yeah, you could
Right,
hear it
right,
on
right.
TV.
It was hysterical.
Yeah,
I
and I got
kick
nothing
out.
bad to say about him. Hopefully he keeps it up.
Sure.
He did a perfect job.
Yeah.
What he was asked to do, he was perfect.
And
And special teams overall, they played well.
The style points, too, with kicks mattered. One of the things with Justin Tucker that I've always marveled at,
Yeah.
Justin Tucker's field goal percentage would pretty much be the same if the uprights were this far apart.
I hear you.
The guy hits it over the center post every single kick.
I've never heard style points matter on kicks before today. Ever.
Well, it does,
Never
and
once
with
have
your-
I heard
but
that.
With your confidence level.
I
Well,
like that
if
innovative. That's
McPherson
innovation. I like that.
Had 10 field goals, and all 10 of them came this close to the upright.
I believe in McPherson 100%,
Your
even though he missed
style
yesterday.
points, though, you're like, God, why is he almost missing
I
every kick?
have 100% confidence in McPherson despite the
You
miss.
should. He's a great
He's
kicker.
made every field goal he's ever kicked in the playoffs, including in the Super
He's a
Bowl. So
great
I don't
kicker.
worry about it.
Right.
But, and I'm not saying this got to be negative about this
I
guy
know.
because he's done a nice job.
But so far, I believe in him.
I'm just saying that I believed in Cade York after week 1 too.
You did.
And then it went south. Hopefully that won't happen with this guy. But
Right.
he gets a 10 out of 10. For the first game,
Yes.
he gets 10 out of 10 out of 10.
It's hard to mess up a first date.
Now, how about this? His
Yeah.
first 2 games.
I disagree with that. I had some rough first days.
His first 2 games are going to be in the toughest venues to kick in the NFL.
And he's getting
And one of them was wet.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, from a confidence standpoint, he's got to be feeling very
Sure.
good. Kickers they're just strange cats.
I'll
That
tell you
they
what.
are.
He lines up for a 42-yarder in Pittsburgh. I'm not going to be confident it's going through.
I'm confident.
It's 50-50,
I'll be
man.
more
It's a
confident
coin
than if
flip.
his name was Cade York.
Yes.
Well, sure, but
Yes.
I need to, we need to get to weeks 5, 6, and 7 with him banging these through before.
You're absolutely right.
Before I think.
Right now, he did a good job, and I thought overall special teams played well.
Yep.
I thought
Yeah,
the
they
punter did a good job. We didn't hear any whining about the punter screwing up the kicks yesterday.
No.
The tackling on special teams. So maybe this is me. The tackling on special teams.
Well,
was,
the first kickoff was not good.
No, the first one was trash.
Yeah, but after that
they
everything was
cleaned it
A+.
up. I was also impressed There was no late hits, no sideline violations where you're tackling guys half out of bounds. You know, there was no sacks where they laid all over Joe Burrow. You know they'd be getting reports like he's hurt. Joe Burrow has a calf injury. Make sure that these guys ain't doing extra.
Right,
no extra stuff. And I thought the Browns were disciplined.
No stupid penalties.
No dumb penalties.
That I can remember,
They played.
the pass interference, those things happen. Guys pull it. It's not a stupid penalty. You got caught. What are you going to do?
It was as close to a perfect game as they've played in a very
defensively,
long time.
Defensively
and running.
Yeah, defensively.
I mean,
and if you
give me offense and defense in the A+ category all year, you're winning 13 games.
I wouldn't give the offense an A+.
I said running and defense.
Oh, running and defense. Yeah, both got A+.
No, the offense definitely didn't get an A+ because the passing game was a clear
The running
C.
and defense both get A+.
If you A+, and this is going to be very difficult to do, it's easier to say than it is to do, but if you give me 17 games where you're just an A on defense and running game, you're going to win 13 games.
No, you're the Tennessee Titans.
That's what you are.
I wouldn't give the Tennessee Titans an A on every single game last year.
But the Browns are not going to play defense like that every single game.
They're not. I know, but I prefaced it by saying if that truly shows up for all 17 games.
Well, yeah, they're going to win a ton of games. Sure,
why not?
They play that well.
Why not?
I don't know if that's realistic. I think if you're
not.
counting on
It's
your
not
run game and
realistic.
your
It's
defense,
not.
you're the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, but
They can't win in the playoffs.
But trust improved. Deshaun Watson
will be better. Speaking of which, Tannehill threw 3 picks yesterday, no touchdowns. His job's got to be on a short leash at this point.
Josh Dobbs looked okay. Almost beat the Commanders.
I mean,
they were up on the Commanders and
yeah, but I don't think it was because of him. I
don't know.
Didn't they have a defensive touchdown?
At one point, I looked at his
They were not good, his stats.
Oh, really? I thought I remember thinking that's not a bad first start for him.
They should play their young guy there. Anyway, whatever.
Well, it's probably coming.
Yeah.
Typically. When is Kyler Murray back?
He's out at least 4 games.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly when he's coming back.
Ravens got hit
Ravens
hard.
lost J.K. Dobbins for the year, by the way.
All right, why is Jamar Chase still
He's
yapping
done, by the way. J.K. Dobbins is done.
Yep.
He's never going to play. He's been hurt every year.
Yeah.
He tore his ACL. He's out. If I'm the Ravens, I just cut him at this point.
Was it his Achilles?
Yes.
Yesterday?
Oh, it was his Achilles, not his ACL?
Yeah.
They had 4 guys out.
Jamar Chase. Why was he still yapping last
We
night?
have his comments if we want to listen
Let's play
to them.
them.
So this
Didn't
was
see 'em.
obviously he said before the game we're playing the Cleveland Elves. I'm wearing my elf shirt.
He
today,
didn't
by
actually
the way.
say that. He said we're playing the.
I almost called him the
I
Elves
almost
or
called
something.
him the Elves.
Yeah.
Essentially called them
Right.
the Elves. And then in
Okay.
his post game, he kind of doubled down on those comments. Here's Jamar Chase after the game yesterday.
And we lost, so that's how we lost.
With that said, you went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, go to the AFC Championship last year. You didn't beat Cleveland up here both years. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? It's 1 game.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, shit, I'm holding it on me. I'm holding it on me. I'm not doing all that, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to play my part and do what I can do for the team. So I'm pissed at other stuff.
Miles made a big point about, I guess, bulletin board material with all the elf stuff and all that. What did you make of all that? Did you throughout the week lead up to it?
Shit, he just want to have some attention. So he just, you know what I'm saying? I'm prepared. It's frustrating because I called their ass elves and we just lost to some elves, so.
Yeah, I couldn't make out who he was talking about. Was he talking about Myles Garrett? The reporter asked him a question where he said, they said that that bulletin board material essentially helped, and he goes, he just wants some attention.
I don't know.
I couldn't tell who the reporter asked him about specifically.
I don't think that was bulletin board material. I really don't. Like
the Browns did.
Well, Cleveland was.
Yeah,
probably. And the Elves players don't care about the Elves. Players don't care.
Myles Garrett did. I mean, at least that's what he said.
Yeah.
And look, in terms of bulletin board material, we talked about this Friday when we talked about the comments originally. It's bulletin board material if the other team talks about it and uses it as a rallying cry.
I just think the bulletin board thing's overdone. I don't know. I'm not a believer in teams win or lose and they get extra motivation. Like with what you're being paid and what's at stake and these 17 games is all you have. You shouldn't need somebody saying Cleveland is Cleveland.
There was a number of Browns that tweeted after the game, Cleveland is Cleveland.
Right, because you get to talk trash back.
Yeah, I think it's more.
But the point is it's easy. Players always dismiss it. We don't make anything of that.
Yeah.
But that's when you say it and you lose. when it's said about you and you win,
Yeah.
Well, it's fun to
all of them talked about it after the game.
It's fun to dunk on someone for it
Right, that's what
afterwards,
they were
but
doing.
it doesn't mean that you're looking at that every Friday when you're lifting weights and on the field
Oh,
and
no,
tape your inside your helmet
but it was
and all
talked
that.
about,
Yeah.
and it was brought up immediately when the game was
Of
over.
course.
So
they wanted to throw it back in his face because they won the game.
No. Listen, I disagree, man. When you're an athlete and you're the competitor, like, I don't understand why we dismiss this. We've heard this before. Go at Michael Jordan used to make stuff up in his own mind.
He did.
And he's the greatest of all time.
He's one of one.
Okay.
He's a lunatic.
Kobe Bryant used to go crazy and want to punch teammates like Shaq. Like, listen, I give you the truly highly competitive people in this life.
Anything.
We looking for any smoke, right? They may not tell you what it is out there, but listen, it's just a part of the game. When I was growing up, I wanted to come beat all Saint Nations teams. If you had a Saint in front of it, I told myself, I said, yeah, they up there, they eat good. You know what I'm saying? Your dad got to work 97 hours. They going to parochial school. They got all their books. We living in school. We got metal detectors. We about to go up there and kick their you-know-whats. You know what? We're going to take that out of them. And that's the mentality. And I love the fact that energy and effort that you see on that sideline where the coaches is pumping their fists and like, we better not let them two score. Yeah. We don't care if Joe Burrow at the game. You saw all the celebrations and the swag. That's that Cleveland talk. See, y'all been laughing at us making money all these doggone years. And certain people feel a certain way about that.
That goes back to Sam Weiss. You're not in Cleveland.
What the hell does that mean, Sam? That we want that get back. I want get back. I don't care about no Steelers or no Ravens. You took our squad and won the Super Bowl. I hate you. I don't like no Steelers colors. I'm waiting on all the smoke. I'm keeping it real with y'all. And there's a lot of people feel that way. And if you harness that energy and can the Browns keep it up for 17 weeks? Sure they can. Because they've been keeping this same stuff up on us for 17 years straight.
But you don't win the Super Bowl with a week one win.
No.
All right, so you got to keep that up. You got to keep up that attitude and that anger and that edge. And if the Browns need to look for a slight, real or made up, to help them, so be it. I mean, I think the Browns were going to win that game yesterday, whether Jamar Chase made that stupid comment or not. How much it factors in, none of us know for sure. You're the only one here who played. It factored in for you, so okay, maybe it does factor in. Maybe it factors in for different guys different ways. Maybe it doesn't. Sometimes there's plenty of examples of teams that talk trash and then still win the game. If that motivated the Browns, so be it. Once they won, they got to dunk all over the Bengals. They got to dunk all over Jamar Chase. To the winner go the spoils.
There right? Too, and they should.
And now the Browns should be smart and not do what the Bengals did and not start anything new.
Before a game with the
don't rival. Say, remember, when the Juju Smith-Schuster started, the Browns is the Browns.
That's it.
Right? And the Browns stuck it to him. Would they have won the game anyway? Probably, but, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's no benefit to giving a team bulletin board material. None.
No.
So I think it's stupid to do. You want to talk trash in the game. That's a different story.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, Denzel Ward, they're going at it, they're talking to each other. That's fine.
I think
before the game is stupid. Whether in the end it means something or not, I just think it's stupid to do. And Jamar Chase was stupid for doing it. He's a great player. He doesn't need to do that.
Do you think he'll come with that same energy? I
don't think he will. I don't think he will.
When we go to Cincinnati, is he going to have that same energy?
I have no idea. I hope not. I don't like that.
I don't think he will either. I think there will be veteran teammates of his that say, look, this is the best trash talk move of all. Everybody here will agree with this.
Go kick ass on the field.
Not even that. Yeah. Late in the game, you just point to the scoreboard. That's it.
That's it.
That's the walk-off mic drop. That's it.
This probably won't happen, but who is most likely on the Browns roster to say Cincinnati is Cincinnati during the pregame press conference leading up to it?
Greg Newsome.
I don't think Myles Garrett will do it.
The Browns have accomplished nothing. Nobody on the Browns should say anything like that. Right. That would be stupid.
Greg Newsome, I will give him that because Greg Newsome is looking for his respect. Because the realistic thing is, Cincinnati don't respect Greg Newsome like that. They know Martin Emerson and Denzel Ward. But they be like, you're just a little brother.
But you don't get respect by talking. You get respect by doing.
Yes.
Doing.
Yeah, he got to do.
Yeah.
And I hope
he played well yesterday.
And they played well.
I think it's a leadership thing, and I'm not pointing a finger at Zach Taylor because, great coaches that, even Belichick had a few guys that stepped out of line. It rarely happened, But there were some times, I remember when, I think it was Edelman, did a news conference where to get around, Belichick had told all his players, don't mention Rex Ryan during the news conference.
Yep.
So Edelman, every question he was asked, talked about feet. And it was one of the greatest troll jobs of all time. And Belichick lost his mind.
But the thing is, too, like now people are going to ask Jamar Chase about it. So it makes it harder not to talk about it.
But that's on him.
Yeah, and so I don't blame Zach Taylor. It's not that big a deal.
No, but what I'm saying is I think historically coaches can control that. They can get ahead of that. Now, there's always guys that work around it. Mike Tomlin had to deal with Antonio Brown for a while, FaceTiming live post-game comments that led to all kinds of trouble. It happens, but the coaches that have a good handle on their team and can establish themselves as leaders, and Belichick earned it with all the Super Bowls, his guys 99.9% of the time stayed in line.
I mean, Travis Kelce does a lot of talking, and all they do is win.
Hey, but I'll tell you what.
And they won 2 Super Bowls.
Kelce's talk is different, though.
I love it, though.
I don't look at Kelce as a disrespectful trash talker.
But
I thought the trash talk, quite frankly, was disrespectful from Chase.
I love it, though. You know why? Because he just putting the rivalry on the map. Before, a year ago, it was this the Browns and the Bengals, buddy battle Ohio. Now it means something. And guess what? I'm sure the game will be on TV. I like it this way.
Yep.
I like the fact that no other division, I think, except the NFC East can say this. There's nobody that likes anybody. There's we don't like.
I think our division is the NFC East. It's the equivalent of the NFC East.
They don't like Washington playing. They'll come up and play. The Commanders will play the Cowboys. Guess what? Commanders will be jacked up.
The old NFC Central used to be that way.
Yeah.
The Packers and the Bucks, the Bears,
Lions.
That used to be nasty.
Browns are in first place as of today.
Yep. They are.
They have the tiebreaker over the Ravens.
Shut up.
They do.
No, listen.
It matters.
They do. If the season ended today, the Browns would be division champs. They beat a division opponent.
If your aunt had never mind.
Week 1 tiebreaker. That's crazy.
Hey, but it's early last year, they lost all those games against all those teams that you knew they'd be fighting for contention for a playoff
Well, we
spot.
said when they lost the Jets, that's going to come back to haunt them. Now they ended up losing other games.
Yeah.
But really, that Jets game was where the season came unraveled.
I'm telling you, Deshaun was on the field yesterday because of that Jets game.
Yes, he
when
was.
The Bengals pulled the plug with 6 minutes left and Burrow's out of the game, and Kevin told Deshaun, get back in there. He was thinking back to New York last year. I'm telling you, that's why he was still in that game. We are salting this thing away, boys. We are not taking any chances.
I'm okay with that put your foot on their throat mentality.
Oh, I am too.
I just don't want to see your franchise quarterback go down in a silly, meaningless last 5 minutes stretch.
I'd rather that than your top cornerback go down in a preseason game, boys.
No. You'd rather lose your quarterback in a 24-3 win?
In a regular season game that counts in the standings?
No.
Yes.
You're up 24-3. The game is over.
The game counts in the standings. Nothing that happens in the preseason
He only threw
matters.
one pass. He didn't get touched. I mean,
I know. I just don't. You can't. If had he gotten hurt, what would the talk be today?
Yeah, I hear you, but the odds of that
I wouldn't kill him.
I can't kill a guy for leaving a guy in a regular season game.
See, if we was taking L's, this fodder would be terrible. But now, all in my mind, I'm just thinking, hey man, we going to Pittsburgh.
It's so much nicer when you're 1-0.
Do you have the schedule? The first quarter.
They play
of the schedule
Steelers and the Titans.
Yeah, Steve, let's take the schedule here.
Yeah, let's take
we'll
a
go
look
through
at
the
it
games.
and play the schedule game.
77. Then
we're
going to
very dangerous.
And then we have super chats. So we'll do the schedule game real quick. Then we'll get to these super chats.
Obviously, the Ravens game is the one that's jumping off the screen there.
I don't know.
They're all going to be tough. I mean, it's the NFL.
Titans suck.
The one that's jumping off the screen for me is the Steelers.
Thank you. I'm with you. I'm with you.
One week at a time.
They got embarrassed.
AG, that's the topic tomorrow. I know where you're going. We're going to figure out
hold
if
it.
it was...
Go ahead, Mike.
At
What do you want to
Pittsburgh
talk
on a
about?
Monday night. At Pittsburgh on a Monday night.
I don't like that.
We're going to talk tomorrow. A little tease for tomorrow. And we got 10 minutes. We're going to talk about Dawand Jones officially starting. Kevin Stefanski confirmed it, how he matches up with TJ Watt. Coach Tyvis breaking down MJ Emerson. We're going to look into whether or not the Steelers getting beat down helps the Browns for week 2 or hurts the Browns for week 2 with a national televised game coming up on Monday Night Football. But we got a bunch of super chats. We're going to get to these guys real quick. And once again, to the people out there who are still watching, 3,800 people still watching.
Amazing.
Absurd. Y'all the best. We love you guys. I truly cannot say thank you enough. Oh, also tomorrow, my Muni Lot experiences. Got a little collage and video I put together from the Muni Lot.
Nice.
That place
was that
is...
that wasn't your first Muni
Very
Lot?
first
That was
time.
your first Muni
Very
Lot.
first time. So.
And what do you grade it?
High. I'm going to save all the specifics for tomorrow, but high. I had a blast.
Yeah, I love
we got some super chats. We got a lot. First one from our guy Skilly. He said our defense is for real. Burrow looked absolutely lost. It didn't look like he even wanted to be on the field anymore. I know it's early, but this definitely isn't a team to be reckoned with. Hopefully Watson has a better game next week.
He might as well take out I know it's early because he disregarded I know it's early in that.
Well, he at least acknowledged
the
that
defense does look real.
You can make observations after week 1.
Of course.
You can.
You should.
And he acknowledged that he prefaced it by saying, I know it's early.
Right. There's a difference between observations and sweeping judgments.
Yeah,
like Kenny Pickett sucks.
Like Kenny
Pickett
sucks.
That one's okay, but not that one.
Well, you know why it's different? Because I already thought Kenny Pickett sucked coming into the season. Did I not?
You did.
I'm not changing my opinion.
They were going to be under 500 last year.
I did, and I was wrong. Yeah. They had to win 5 in a row to get over 500.
All right, next super chat's from Peter R.
Never burying them unless they're 0-16.
After the game, I thought I saw Joe Burrow get hit so many times his 9 turned upside down to a 6 in the fourth quarter. Oh wait, he just got benched. Go Brownies. Next one's from Joshua Heisler. This defense is nasty. Let's Elfin go. How you feeling this morning, Bull?
Let's Elfin go.
He didn't say that, but that's how we're going to change
LFG
for Cleveland Browns. It's now.
Oh, so you just dropped that. You just coined that.
No, actually,
that's a t-shirt.
Earl yesterday was like, I got the Canva title, and he sent it to me, and it was Browns Elf the Bengals.
I'm gonna let y'all.
I was like, that's really clever.
I'm gonna let y'all.
That is really good.
Special.
I'm gonna let y'all be entrepreneurs. Y'all can have that shirt. You can keep that one.
Well, I mean, they came up with it.
Yeah, keep that.
You're not going to steal it from.
I'm not going to steal it. I'm not going like Jason stole. Who stole? No, that was Tyvis that stole that pick from me when I was sitting here waiting for Albert Brill to say, "Hey." No, Dave Richards said, "Hey, pick this guy up." And Tyvis took
right.
him.
That's right.
I remember that.
Oh, that was dirty.
It was epic.
It's dirty.
All right, next up from James Cosby. Jim Schwartz is such a huge influence. Schwartz, yeah. What did I say?
You said Schwartz.
I said Schwartz.
I mean, you are half Jewish, Mike. You should be able to
I
pronounce
said Jim Schwartz is a huge influence on not just the team, but everybody in the building, including Kevin Stefanski.
I texted you guys. He's such a bad man. He wore white pants after Labor Day.
Yeah, right.
That man walked out of the locker room. That man walked out of the locker room wearing white pants and a blue blazer after Labor Day.
Did he pull it off? How did he look?
Yeah, look good. And he was like he had the Conor McGregor walk.
Coach swagger.
Oh, he was feeling himself yesterday.
So this is the mentality of a Browns fan. By the third quarter of yesterday, my mind had already gone to here. Schwartz is going to be a head coach in Seattle next year. That's where my mind goes. I can't even.
He's old and he's failed twice as a head coach.
He's not old.
Yeah, he's pretty old.
How old is he?
Guys, are you kidding me?
You're talking to.
I'm 58 here.
You're old, Jay. You're old. You just don't look it.
They put him 6 feet under.
You ain't old, man. Don't listen to these
Retirement home.
Earl, thank you.
I knew that's right.
He's 57 years old.
Okay.
Not old, Mike. You tripping.
Okay.
How many head coaches?
Dude, how old is the president?
Well, I'm not saying he's like old about to die. I'm just saying he's old in terms of the age of who gets hired to be head coaches.
Listen, 58 is not old
for a head coach.
NFL coach.
He actually only was a head coach once. His record as a head coach was terrible.
It was terrible, but you know what happens when he comes back as a coordinator and has one of the top-ranked defenses in the league, and he has head coaching experience. Pete Carroll's old too.
Yeah.
But he's in his 70s.
I know, but he's been there a long time.
I know, but I'm just telling you.
He's not too old to get a job.
This
Fair
is
enough.
where my mind goes.
Yeah.
Stop being paranoid.
I need therapy.
Stop living in your fears.
It was the third quarter of
You're
game
living
one.
in your fears.
We can't have nice things.
Yeah,
Schwartz is going to. And then listen,
Yeah.
honest to God, this popped into my head. I go, wait a minute. We can change the landscape forever. Co-head coaches. Stefanski,
oh my God.
and for the big critical decisions, they alternate it. Stefanski gets one game, and then Schwartz gets the next
one.
one.
You are losing your mind.
I am, but that's where I go.
Guess what? They're already co-head coaches. Just
right. You just didn't even know it.
You're right, not entitled. But the thing is the paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, you're making a couple $100,000 as a coordinator. You're making a couple million when you're the top dog.
It's just, if they were negotiating contracts, that's why Bill Callahan goes nowhere. It's just money.
Jim Schwartz is a coordinator. I agree don't
with
think he's a
that,
coach,
but there
a
will
head
be a
coach.
team that's desperate and thirsty,
Yeah.
and they're looking at him saying, maybe the second time. Listen, Pete Carroll was a failure as a head coach the first time around. People forget
Patriots.
that.
True,
It is
but then he
true.
went to USC and had great success.
He
In
did.
his college, but
the equivalent to that is Schwartz has had great success as a defensive coordinator in the league.
let's let him get through 2
I know,
games.
let me-
we got a
enjoy
couple
this
more.
for
We got a
crying
couple
out
more.
loud.
Joshua Heisler says, I was at the game. It was electric. Browns fans showed up like I've never seen before.
Really?
I'm
you
not
feel like
that
the
was
energy
what
there
Josh
Did
was-
it
said.
feel different for you?
Oh yeah.
Was it
yeah.
compare it to the Jets win a couple of years ago, the
Oh,
Thursday night
that
Jets
was-
win?
that
Because
was-
I was at that game.
Well, that was a night game.
That was electric.
I had never experienced anything like that since the rebirth.
That was like a playoff game.
It felt like a playoff win.
because Baker and all that,
Right.
and you felt like you finally had the guy,
Yeah.
and it was a national game, nighttime. That was a much different energy
See how
than yesterday.
That carrot gets dangled, that Jets game, the 58-yard field goal, and then they snatch it away.
Well, I'll tell you,
Football gods.
yesterday felt a lot different than Carolina to me. Yesterday was, Carolina,
Oh,
you
'cause
felt
it
like
was a
you
beatdown
stole
of a
one.
good team.
Carolina, you felt like you stole one.
Yes,
And it was
you
more
did.
relief.
Yeah, it
it
was
was just
relief.
relief that
It
you
we
beat
didn't
Baker.
lose to the guy that we kicked to the curb.
But
we
yesterday-
kind of felt crappy after that game, even though they won.
Yesterday was
You're right. It was I needed a shower.
Yesterday
Yeah.
was an ass beating, and you have reason as a Browns fan to hold your chest out high.
Right.
Yeah.
No
I
doubt.
got a bunch more. Jarrell Jack says, G. Bush, those knees shaking turn into facts. Preston Herring said, if I saw Myles Garrett playing basketball in a football game as he's approaching me, I would weep and start crying uncontrollably.
That's fair. I would too.
I probably would as well.
Professor Chaos says, Dawand coming in looked great. It'll be a good early test for him against the Steelers. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Professor Chaos, what a great name.
Yeah.
James Cosby says, gee, I need that Kool-Aid t-shirt.
Man,
I think we
that
dropped the link to that in the chat.
Yeah.
Rob Cavasse.
How much you charging for those?
$25.
That's nothing.
Rob Cavasse says, are intentional grounding calls just a vibe penalty? Some of those Burrow throws had nobody around. I'm surprised there weren't more.
Yeah, there was one that I
intentional
thought could have
grounding
been
calls.
called.
Next comes from Squidvet, Ohio. He says, Deshaun led a scoring drive at halftime, put the game away in the fourth. That's a franchise quarterback. Damn the stats. B-Dog
Be
21.
that guy.
Don't.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't.
Don't be that guy.
B-Dog 21 says, the shot to the ribs woke Watson up. Throws were much better after, and he said he was having full body cramps, even in his arms. And last but not least, we have one from Russell DeGaff. He says, congrats, you guys truly have a diverse viewership. Shout out from Manawaja, Canada.
Nice.
I don't know how to Anthony, how do you pronounce this
We're
word?
international, man.
International.
Manahwaj? Manahwa?
We're worldwide.
Canada.
We're like the
Canada.
pit bull of YouTube.
Yeah, from Canada,
Congratulations,
lifelong
Canada.
Browns and Cavs fan. We've been listening since the beginning. You guys are the best. We appreciate you, Russell, and everyone else out there watching. Wherever you watch, we appreciate you guys. Record-breaking numbers in the show today, as expected. I put a goal out for us pre-show.
You said 10,000?
Yeah, we're about to hit 14 for the show. So
Yeah.
shout out to y'all.
And what was our previous record?
8. Haha, suckers.
Biggest show ever.
Winning is good for business, as they say.
Yeah.
Yes, they good.
And
yeah.
everybody loves the feeling of a Victory Monday.
Yeah.
And
It feels
Next week
damn
will have to
good.
be a victory
Man, it
Tuesday.
feels damn good.
It feels good. And you know what I love most, Mikey? I thought you were going to come in here and be sullen over your Giants getting waxed because you're a Browns fan, but your team is the Giants.
Listen.
But you have come in here and adopted this city as much as we've adopted you. And the only thing keeping you from sharp objects this morning was the Browns win.
Hey, let me tell you, that was the ugliest Giants game I've ever watched.
Oh, it was horrible.
My dad took off today so we could watch the game last night, and he was asleep after the first quarter. I woke up. I slept great last night. I woke up happy, and I'm going to let Earl hop in 1 sec. Browns is what matters to me because I need to get paid.
By the way, Mike deserves no credit for this.
No,
I
he does.
deserve
And
more
real
credit.
quick, real quick.
My team got humiliated
You know
by
what?
the Browns.
Wait, before you go.
My team got
I
humiliated.
gotta let Earl
Mike's
chime
team
in.
has no chance to win a Super Bowl. They got Daniel
I
Jones.
gotta
No,
let
you're
Earl
right.
chime
You
in.
handled this very well.
Wait, hold on, Jay.
Yeah.
You're giving him way too much credit.
Who?
Mike.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
No, he handled it well down here. But every 3 minutes this morning upstairs as we were preparing for this show, Another thing about the Giants game. And you know what else? Another thing about the Giants thing.
But he didn't bring that toxicity into the studio.
Final thing about the Giants game. Talk to him.
Hey,
I came in and I told Mike not to look at me because G. Bush has Dallas's defense, and I played him this week. 36 points later.
Is that what they scored? 36 points?
That was the reason I won.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm telling you, I was on the phone with Mike for about 10, 15 minutes yesterday. I got yelled at more than I got yelled at by my wife in those 10 or 15 minutes.
And his wife yells at him a lot.
You said, by the way, trying to have a conversation with Mike during the Giants game.
Oh, it was hysterical how many times he was lashing out.
Who is Holly Hurricane or whatever?
Holly works for WKNR Radio.
I don't know.
She does a podcast with Tyvis, a Browns podcast with Tyvis.
It feels like it's someone I should know. I don't know
You
her.
probably know her if you saw her.
What's her last name?
Wetzel.
Oh, I know Holly.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Holly. Oh, I'm sorry.
He was hurt.
We beat the doors off of Holly. I'm sorry, Holly. Now I feel bad because I do know her. She's a big sports fan and does a good job.
Yes, she is. Much like regular football, you can't get carried away with week one. Remember, last year I started 0-2 in the league.
You did, and you won.
And won. I've lost week one, even though I put up a good score. I lost to the Beckers. It's a little embarrassing, but I'm going down.
Hey, last thing we'll wrap up
here to stay. That's all I can say.
Have you guys ever heard anyone ever call MJ Emerson Baby Ramsey?
No.
Because there's a tweet going around
I don't want that
talking about his
nickname either, by the
stats
way.
about Baby Ramsey, and Emerson has yet to chime in if he likes
You
that
remember
nickname
Baby
or not.
Jordan?
Oh, Harold Miner.
That didn't go over so well for Harold Miner.
No.
So are we going to put a kibosh on Baby Ramsey?
Or
right now?
Baby Shaq. Remember Baby Shaq?
Baby Shaq
was
right.
Big Baby.
Don't give these guys nicknames that are that you almost can't live up to because then they become like almost a failure.
I don't like the nickname. He's going to live up to it, though.
I think he will, but he's deserving of his own nickname. So maybe we'll do that on